Man who was arrested is being looked at in connection with the so-called Gilgo 4, women who were found wrapped in burlap within days of each other in 2010, not the other 6. In New York City, Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
A suspect will appear in court today, 2 p.m. Eastern, for his arraignment. The U.S. Secret Service fails to unravel the whodunit at the White House. Fox's Lucas Tomlinson.
The White House officials have been telling reporters privately for days now not to expect much from this investigation, and it turns out they were right. The Secret Service closing their investigation yesterday, releasing a statement saying in part, quote, "The investigation will not be able to single out a person of interest from the hundreds of individuals who passed through the vestibule where the cocaine was discovered." Now, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says it should not take Inspector Clouseau to figure out who brought the coke here to the White House. The Secret Service report also said that marijuana was found here at the White House on 2 separate occasions last year in July and September.
The president forgives some student loans totaling $39 billion for more than 800,000 borrowers. The Education Department stepping in what it calls fixes to income-driven loan repayment plans, promising to make good on past payments that should have moved some borrowers toward loan forgiveness were not counted. America's listening to Fox News.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/FREE. ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Let's keep a close eye on the sky and the weather as we go through the afternoon, waiting for some developing showers and thunderstorms around. A couple of them could be strong to severe, but it's not a widespread event. 92 degrees. Periods of showers and a couple of thunderstorms this evening. 70. Saturday and Sunday looks pretty good. Partly sunny skies, maybe a spot thunderstorm each day 90 to 92. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-777-1979. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-777-1979. That's 800-777-1979. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-777-1979. 800-777-1979.
If you need a new bath or shower, call my friends at Bath Fitter of St. Louis. Mark Cox here. We love our new shower and tub enclosure. It looks fantastic. No demolition, no mess, and a lifetime guarantee. Right now, they're having a sale for 20% off up to $1,000 or 0 interest until 2028. That's 5 years. Call 636-338-1648. That's 636-338-1648. Bath Fitter of St. Louis.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have all the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Tony LaRussa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
So it's Friday, it's the Annie Frey Show, and believe it or not, Annie Frey is not here. Hey, my name's Mike Elam, sitting in for Annie today. I am a councilman out in St. Charles County, but I'm going to try to fight the instinct that I normally have when I get to sit in on a show, and I'm not going to make the whole show about St. Charles County, which makes people like Brad, who live in Illinois, very happy. Drew lives in St. Louis, doesn't he? Isn't he a St. Louis guy?
I'm not sure. I know he's in Missouri. I just don't know exactly where.
Yeah, so he's a Missouri guy. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you'll stick around for the next 3 hours. We have got a full show today, but I got to tell you, I walked in today. I took a vacation day from my full-time job. So I stopped talking about fiber for today for fiber expansion across St. Louis.
That's internet fiber.
Internet fiber, right. So not breakfast cereals, right? So I stopped talking about the expansion of internet and freeing you from cable and took a day to come in here. And I was expecting the regular Annie Frey cast. And I found out that everybody deserted Brad. And Brad is the last guy who gets stuck with me to do this. And poor Drew had to come in and fill in, because normally on Friday, Hannah runs the board, right?
Yeah.
Is that still a thing? It still works that way?
Yeah.
So normally Brad gets to kind of relax on Fridays and doesn't have to run the board, and Hannah's doing that. But no, she bailed on him too. So Wiggins has been gone a couple of times this week, and he was gone a couple of times last week for the holiday, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So this guy's working part-time, basically, these days, is what we're figuring out. And then, so this is my big radio week. So I was here on Monday doing Reardon Show, which was fun. I got to kick off the week that way, so that was good. I got to sit in on Dave Glover's show Tuesday for a little while, and then I was on the midday show on KMOX on Wednesday. Yesterday, I did no radio, so I took the day off. It's not like it's part of my full-time job, right? So I had the day off yesterday. And Trisha reached out earlier, and she's like, hey, Annie's out on Friday. Any chance you could do it? I'm like, sure. I love doing the Annie Frey Show. First of all, Frannies, is that word?
Fannies.
Fannies. So Fannies are fantastic. Annie's audience is amazing. And I love all the interaction that you guys do on the social media feeds. So I love sitting in on the show. And normally there's a cast of thousands that feels like is in the studio, you know, with Brad and Wiggins and Hannah all being here. So there's a lot of people to interact with and kick ideas around. And a lot of times I just sit here and shut up and listen to you guys roll, which is really fun when you're not the person who's normally carrying the show. And then I walk in today, and there's like nobody in the building. Like,
no.
Everybody took Friday off for whatever reason.
It is Friday in July.
Yeah.
People are on vacation.
We're done. And it's the Friday after a holiday week. So I expected people would be here. But I was asking Drew, I'm like, dude, what's up? And he goes, well, normally if you and I are here together, it's a holiday anyway. Because we are. Like if it's Memorial Day or Christmas week or something, Drew and I end up filling in. He's running the board. He gets the short Mike Elam straw that he has to deal with me. So poor guy, he has to deal with me again today, but you get the real short straw. But
I don't think it's that bad.
We appreciate you being here today. We are going to have a fantastic time on a Friday. We have got a full slate of stuff today. We have got all kinds of people. We're going to talk with Charlie Gasparino a little bit later on this hour. Charlie is going to talk to us a little bit about the economic numbers that came out, and it looks like things may be cooling down, but we will see. The Fed has definitely done everything they can to put their thumb on the scale and slow that down. One of the things that I've been hearing about a lot from my constituents, especially senior citizens, the Missouri legislature passed Senate Bill 190, which does a lot of things. But one of the things that the seniors really care about is it caps their property taxes at next year's rate. Governor signed it. But, man, it has got a lot of questions. And implementation is proving to be a real challenge for collectors around the state of Missouri. It's not that county councils or county commissioners, if you're in a smaller county, it's not that they don't want to put this into place necessarily. It's that they started talking to their collectors and their assessors, and they're like, we don't understand half this bill. So Michelle McBride is going to come on and tell us a little bit about the challenges that are going on with that. And it's turning out to be a lie. This was, in my opinion, a half-baked pie that the legislature baked and then handed it off to the local counties and said, you take it from here. And we're like, what? Like, what do you want us to do? So following it is not great. And there's a lot of questions. So we're going to talk to Michelle a little bit about the people who have to implement this. If they have no idea how they're supposed to implement it, you can only imagine. There's already a lawsuit. I think Jackson County has already filed a lawsuit and said this is unconstitutional, the way you passed it. We were kind of hoping, some of us were hoping the governor was going to veto it just so the legislature would fix it this year. But now they're looking at maybe having to go back in legislative session next year and fix all this. There's just tons of questions that we'll talk with. The Missouri governor's race is kicking up into high gear. We just had a Democrat who jumped in the race, which is brand new, and it's Missouri, and it's 97-1, so we don't really care that there's another Democrat who got in the race. They're not going to win. This is just how it's going to be. I mean, just accept that and move on, right? But Jay Ashcroft has got a 20-point lead in the race right now. You've got Ashcroft at 34, Kehoe at 14, Bill Eigel is at 4%, but the biggest chunk of voters have said, I don't know yet. And that is 48% in the latest poll that I saw that was done from a Remington Research Group. So we are going to talk with Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft a little bit later on and kind of find out where is he on things. I saw an article earlier today about the St. Louis Fed chief has decided to step down. So he is going to be the new chancellor or president for Purdue University, which is going to leave a hole now at the Fed Board of Governors. So Luanne Cundiff is actually the president of First State Bank in St. Charles. So I do have some sort of St. Charles connection here. Luanne is also the community banking representative to the Fed. So we're going to talk with a little bit about that with her. I also want to find out, it seems that apartments are just going up it seems like they're exploding out of the ground these days. I can't say exploding very often. Just it's a lot of other things that go into that. But it seems like you're just popping up all over the place, and they're popping up overnight. And you're seeing it happen not just in the local community, but nationwide. There's over 1 million apartments that are going up across the United States. There's a reason for that. You're seeing Gen Z especially, we used to always, I'm part of that generation that no one cares about, right? I'm not a baby boomer, and I'm not a millennial.
Oh, you're Gen X.
I'm Gen X. No one gives a crap what Gen X has to say, right? We're just that generation in between the big generations, and they're like, yeah, we don't really care what your opinion is. But it's not even millennials who normally get thrown under the bus that are responsible for this. It's more of the Gen Zers that are coming up. They're like, I don't know that I want to own a house. I saw this comedian one time who said, I could see getting married, having a few kids, but buying a house, that's so permanent.
I and on the other side of that, though, is I have a friend he just got married. He was looking to buy a starter home. He's got a solid job, solid income. But there's no such thing as a starter home anymore.
There's not. And I saw earlier mortgage rates now for a 30-year mortgage are right at 7%.
It's
7%. Like, we say that like, oh my God, it's 7%. But when I bought my first house in 94, 7% was the rate. Mm-hmm. So it's not like 7% is really outrageous, but you have an awful lot of people who are sitting on 2 and 3% loans. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to give up that 2%, 3% rate to go to a 7% rate. So you're just going to sit on it. And right now, if you can sell, it's a great time to sell. But if you want to buy, man, I feel for you. So there's an awful lot of people who are looking at that also. I don't have the inventory. I don't have the money. I'm buying at the top of the market anyway. So I don't want to do that and get stuck. So they're going to apartments, but they're not afraid to pay the rate. So I am seeing all of these apartment complexes pop up. You have a one-bedroom, 600-square-foot apartment, and it could be $1,300, $1,400 a month. Like, for what? Are you kidding me? But that's the going rate. And apartments are still able to charge all this money because there is no housing available. So you're seeing this big thing. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Matt Pauley is going to join us in the 2 o'clock hour. Cardinals are back in action tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to be better in the second half than they were the first half?
Yeah.
I see no reason to think that they will be.
And the other thing is, too, is John Mozeliak did some, media, and he was talking about trades that might happen. So I want to get Matt's thoughts on those, too, like who he thinks maybe will be going where or why.
Well, and are the Cardinals really going to be sellers? I saw Frank Cusimano had a story on the other day on Channel 5 where he said, it may not be in the Cardinals' best interest to start winning. Because if they do, it may give Cardinal fans a glimpse of hope that they could compete to win because they're in the worst division in the National League. So you might actually have a chance to win the Central Division if you go on a roll. We've seen them come back from big deficits in the past, and they ended up winning the division, or at least being competitive. So a Cardinal fan is one of those people who's always the glass is half full when it comes to Cardinal baseball. So it's one of those kind of things of, hey, if they start turning it around, the Cardinals may say, well, maybe we're not sellers. Maybe we're buyers. Maybe we're only a pitcher or two away, which they're not. But it's kind of one of those things where you see it with the NFL a lot of times, where you get these teams who are going, wow, we really suck. We could be better, but if we continue to suck a lot, we get the first pick. Mm-hmm. I think we want to go that direction. We want to get the first pick.
Oh, man, we got a long way to go to get the first pick, though.
We do.
Oakland is really bad.
Oakland is really bad. And Kansas City is another one that's hanging right there with them. It's really sad that 2 of the 5 worst teams in baseball, though, are the Missouri teams, mm-hmm. right? That Interstate 70 World Series, not happening. Not this year, right? Kansas City and St. Louis both have a world to go before this is going to be competitive. Yeah. So there is a lot to talk about today. I am going to have to figure out what I am doing tonight, and we'll talk about this a little bit later. My wife sends me a text while I'm on my way down here and saes, oh, by the way, I'm going to Post Malone.
Is he back in St. Louis?
He's back in St. Louis.
Is this the first time he's been back since
he stepped through the trap door?
Man.
Exactly. So we'll see if Posty is whole, a whole Posty. So we'll see how that works.
Hole.
So my wife and my daughter are going to Post Malone tonight. She's been trying to get me to buy Post Malone tickets for the longest time, and I'm like, God no, these tickets. Although when you look at what Morgan Wallen tickets and Taylor Swift tickets. Post Malone's a bargain at $200, right? It's like, no, these are crazy. I was joking with somebody the other day and said I was going to take my wife to see Morgan Wallen and Taylor Swift, but I decided to make the house payment instead. It was cheaper. It's just where these things are going. So, hey, my Friday night plans just changed completely because Post Malone's in town and my wife's going. And she's going with my daughter and some other friends. I'm like, man, sometimes I feel really old, and this is one of those times, right? I would love to tell you I'm really into Post Malone to seem cool. I'm really not. I don't even want to put tattoos on my face. You know, Jelly Roll is like the country Post Malone now, and that's a whole big thing. Oh, I'm like, this is a decision later in life you're really going to regret. But that's kind of where we are. Again, Mike Elam sitting in for Annie today. Hannah's gone. Wiggins is gone. Annie's gone. Brad and I are here along with Drew holding the fort down.
Yep. Tell them about the YouTube live chat poll.
Oh, what is the YouTube live chat poll? You told me about that.
Well, this Sunday is
ice cream.
Yeah, this Sunday is National Ice Cream Day, and so in honor of that, we want to know what your favorite ice cream is. So if you want to vote in that poll, you can vote either vanilla, chocolate, cookie dough, or we have an option called other, but then you need to comment in our chat.
What is other?
What is other? So
any Neapolitan people out there?
Yep. So,
we'll see.
Yep, and then jump in on the Annie Frey Show live stream on YouTube. Vote in that poll and tell us why you voted what you voted, and we'll be starring your comments, and we'll peek back into them at the end of the show.
That sounds great. You know, Joe Biden is always out looking for ice cream, so we'll do that in honor of the president, who, by the way, fell up the stairs again today. Again. You know, that used to be a big story. Now it's a day that ends in Y. Hey, look, Joe fell up the stairs. I'm just amazed that this guy continues to find ways to fall up the stairs. But hey, it's Friday. It's the Annie Frey Show. My name is Mike Elam. Appreciate you hanging out today with Brad and Drew and I. And we have got Charlie Gasparino coming up on the other side of the break on St. Louis's home for conservative talk on 97.1 FM Talk.
Round and whine and moan, 'cause somebody done me wrong. Don't think for a minute.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Not a half-empty glass. Every day I wake up knowing it could be my last. I ain't here for a long time. I'm here for a good time.
St. Louis physician Dr. Abicki created Neovitin 15 years ago to help support his own nutrition when he needed it most. Since then, Neovitin has helped thousands of people support their daily nutrition with sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and Dr. Abicki's proprietary blend. If you're ready to join many St. Louisans in supporting their nutrition, give Neovitin a try. You can find Neovitin at your local Schnucks, Dierbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
I'm Brian Westbrook with Coalition Life. Over the past decade, Coalition Life has served thousands of women in crisis pregnancies, helping to save the lives of the children they carry. Help us build a better community while also reducing or completely eliminating your Missouri taxes with a 70% tax credit. A $1,000 donation today to help these women could cost you as little as $141 out of pocket. Learn more at coalitionlife.com, coalitionlife.com. Thank you.
You wouldn't trust a butcher to babysit your pet pig. You wouldn't trust a lumberjack to repair your antiques. Or a professional wrestler to be your massage therapist. So why would you trust anyone but AMCO to fix your car? For over 50 years, we've been the trusted experts in transmission repair.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
AAMCO.
I appreciate everybody calling and the referrals that are being passed around. I want to say thank you to everybody that's helping their family out or their friends or whoever. Our growth in Illinois and the St. Charles area has been phenomenal. And we want to continue doing that. We're extremely busy. If I could get to everybody, I would. But if you have been told that you need a new air conditioner, regardless of the reason, save my number in your phone. Don't do it while you're driving. When you stop, when it's safe, put my name and number in your phone. Now remember, here's the name. It's Bart with a B, Inman with an I, save it under, I know this is going to get so confusing, save it under A, that would be air conditioning. We got that? Save 314-293-2600 under A for air conditioning. And if you would like to find out more on the internet, website, bartinman.com.
Hey, Bernie Federico here. Over the years, you've heard me talk about lakeside renovation and design. My friends Matt and Dan have been in the business for over 25 years and have done everything on my home, from James Hardy siding, Infinity from Marvin Windows, and even a couple of room additions. These guys are great, and you can trust them with your home. Check out their website to see for yourself all the beautiful work they've done. You can find them online at lakesidrenovationanddesign.com. Be sure to ask about their unbelievable financing options. Lakeside Renovation and Design.
When I met little Ruthie in 2010, she was just 5 years old. She wasn't eating much, she had no school to go to, and she didn't know who Jesus was. In December of 2023, Ruthie will be joining 12 others in the first graduating class of Bethlehem Christian Academy in Zambia, Africa. Hi, my name is Martin Winslow, founder and president of BCA. When you support a child like Ruthie through BCA, you get to join us in being the hands and feet of Jesus. Our mission is dedicated to transforming lives by feeding and educating poor and orphan children in some of the poorest places in Africa and South Asia. BCA's ministry not only provides physical bread to these kids, but also spiritual bread through the Word of God. For just $36 a month, you can help a child have a hope of a better future, but more importantly, give them the opportunity to learn about Christ. You can also join us on a mission trip. In fact, many will be joining me this upcoming December to watch Ruthie receive her diploma. To find out more about how you can help children like Ruthie, please visit bcaministries.com. That's bcaministries.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
If you're as thankful to your first responders as we are, then nominate a local department and let us feed them a great meal. Compliments of Grill Master Tony Stone. Mark Cox here. Visit 971talk.com/contests. Help us feed our first responders. You can nominate someone today.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
It is the Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk. My name is Mike Elam, sitting in for Annie today, and things are always changing, especially lately with our economic numbers. And when you're going to dig into those numbers, you don't want a guy who's a St. Charles County Council guy to break that down for you. You definitely don't want a guy who's got a communications degree. Even though Lindenwood University is an amazing place, you go with someone who knows what they're talking about and lives these numbers day in and day out. For me, that is Fox Business senior correspondent and New York Post columnist Charlie Gasparino. Charlie, thank you for making some time on this Friday to help us break all this stuff down today.
Anytime, but full disclosure, I'm a graduate of the University of Missouri Journalism School, although I do have the equivalent of a minor in economics. So,
But you have a lot of time in grade. I love watching you and Stuart Varney go back and forth a lot of times. You guys just crack me up on how you handle all that. But you definitely have a lot more experience in this world than I do. And even though you may have a firm foundation in reporting journalism from Mizzou, you've definitely made up from the economic standpoint. What did you make of the numbers that we got this week?
Well, inflation is coming down pretty rapidly. Here is kind of an interesting scenario. The markets obviously like this. They're suggesting there's a soft landing that we're going to have because some of the headline employment numbers are pretty good, right? But, there's an increasing and creeping suspicion that when you have inflation nosediving this fast, that, we could be going into a recession because it generally does not come down like this. It comes down more slowly, particularly after all the money they printed and all the spending. So there is this sort of counter argument on Wall Street, not the stuff you see in the markets daily, obviously, because we're obviously up again today. But, people are worried that there's a growing worry that the inflation numbers are coming down so fast because the economy could be hitting the skids.
When people, I hear them talk a lot about, is this going to be a soft landing or not? What do they really mean when they say, are we going to have a soft landing? What constitutes a soft landing?
I mean, there's no real definition for it, but I mean, I think sort of just think of it this way. The Fed needs to slow the economy down to get inflation under control, right?
Yeah.
What you don't want to create in that scenario is a severe recession or a depression, obviously, but a severe recession. So what you want to do, and it's a lot of this is guesswork. It's not scientific. And although there is some science, you look at data and stuff like that about, where the jobs are slowing down and, what's happening with housing starts or housing prices. What you do is you try to ratchet up interest rates in a way that does not cause a severe recession, but gets rid of the inflation. And so you do get an economic slowdown, but it's not a dramatic slowdown.
There seems
that's what a soft landing. So it means we either go into a mild recession or we have flat economic growth and employment maybe ticks up, but not to astronomical levels. Now, here's the problem. That is almost impossible to do. And it's more impossible to do because you have, a White House that is very much in the mode of regulating businesses. And so they're heaping costs on business as they do this. So when you start raising interest rates and making it more difficult for businesses to expand and to see capital and to borrow, when you do that, often in this type of regulatory environment, yes, the inflation comes down, but you don't get a soft landing. And I think that's what people are sort of missing, that the inflation rate has come down so fast, so hard, that people are now a little freaky that, we're only a point above the target rate of 2%. And what people are saying is that if it's come down this fast, in the last sort of 6 months, really hard, there must be something more at work here. And the underlying numbers are, there's a lot of ways to look at this, but apparently the underlying numbers are starting to get bad. And, housing starts and, are people being able to sell their homes, stuff like that. And there's sort of weakness in certain parts of the economy. So, again, this is just theory. I'm not saying I advocate this, but it's something to be aware of if you're the average investor and, just the average person that is looking to navigate what the economy right now.
It seemed to be when the Fed first started raising rates, they had a clear target as to what they wanted to hit. And at the beginning, it just seemed to stick. Whatever they were doing really wasn't moving that number. But to your point, these last 6 months or so, something changed. And all of a sudden, he hit that tipping point where we really seem to have changed where we're going. Do you think that they're going to continue to do this? Or do you think, they took their, I guess it wasn't called a pause, but they skipped that last increase. Do you think they're going to skip the next one?
I don't think so, but it's possible. You know what I'm saying? Because if they see something in these numbers that we're really sort of now in a recession that's deeper than the soft landing, they'll skip it. But I don't know if you could tell before then. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well,
so, they like to give this Fed gives guidance and doesn't like to veer from it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like if they say they're going to skip, they basically said it the last time they're going to skip because they were worried that the rate increases would hurt the banks. So they did skip. They meant it. You know what I'm saying? This time they're saying they're going to do one more, unless there's some data that comes out that shows, oh God, we're in deep doo-doo here. We got a recession. Then I think we got at least one more now.
He was always tied into the employment numbers, and he seemed to always be working under that aspect of, I need to see the employment numbers change. And that just didn't seem to be changing. We still seem to have the employment numbers kind of hanging where they were. Do you think that's something that still lays out there as a contributing factor for him?
Yes, but, let's just see what's going on here. The fact that inflation came down this fast is something that you got to keep an eye on.
Right.
It's something that it's saying something that people, that doesn't mean, by the way, there's a lot of reasons why, which causes a recession. Productivity starts falling off. The declining dramatically. It depends on the types of jobs being created. There is already a kind of a recession in tech, right? They did a ton of cuts.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's finally kicking into the economy. The fact that all these rich, semi-rich tech guys are out of work and cutting back, who knows? Well, I mean, this is a dynamic economy. It's not just one thing. But so it's just something to be aware of. And if you think, if you think we have, we're in a recession, well then, what does that mean for the average person? Well, if you're in the markets, there are different types of securities that would be really good for that. I mean, there's like the stocks will generally trade off. Maybe bonds, treasuries would be better. I don't know, but you got to see as this thing goes forward and adjust accordingly, because this is pretty amazing that the inflation has come down that fast.
Well, it's the big news these days is Hollywood has decided that they're all on strike. So, of course, that's going to change the complex of everything, because once you get the Hollywood stars out there, then that means no one's working anymore. There's going to be nothing to watch on TV except for news.
Here's it's kind of funny that these Hollywood stars and these everybody's on strike. But here's the thing the problem that they have. Their business model is screwed up.
Right.
First off, people don't go to the movies that much because of cord cutting. They rather stream it. Streaming is not the moneymaker that people thought it'd be. There's a lot of competition, and the margins are thin. And all you have to do is look at the stock of Paramount. Now, Paramount is a company that controls CBS, Viacom, the Paramount Theaters. Right? They have Paramount Plus, which is a streaming service.
Right.
They have a $9 billion market cap. That's like Apple has like a $3 trillion market. I don't know what it is. This is a tiny, tiny company now that was once this media empire. And it's fascinating that this company is that screwed up right now. I mean, this is a company of Sumner Redstone. It's worth $9 billion of its own. By the way, Apple has a market cap of $2.99 trillion. And Paramount, the big media empire that it is, has a market cap. Last I checked, it was about $9 billion. It's $10.62 billion. This company had a market cap of a lot more not that long ago. You know what I'm saying? Figure they had a market cap, I want to say, of probably 10, 12, it still wasn't big, like $30 billion back in 2000.
But in the scale of the entertainment world, and compare that to everything else with the Apples, the Disneys, and all the other things.
Back up. 2014, Paramount had a market cap probably of something like $40 billion.
Wow.
Disney is, and so now they're 9 or 10. Now Disney, what is Disney's market cap? And this will give you this will shake you up. Disney has a market cap of $162 billion, but that's well off its highs. Well, I mean, they had double that, by the way, in 2015.
It just speaks to the fact of the changing environment that we're living in these days, and a lot of people who are just out of touch. Well, Charlie, I appreciate you spending some time on a Friday. I know you need to run. I really appreciate your insight, and it's always good to talk to a guy who started off with a journalism degree, because it tells people like me there's hope that we may actually be able to be somebody with their life somewhere down the road.
Here's the smartest thing I did at the University of Missouri.
What's that?
I took 4. I used all my electives as a graduate student, and took only econ as courses. So I went to the business or the economics department, took all these econ classes, and forced myself to learn it.
So as my father said, that was your backup plan.
Well, as my father wanted me, my father never trusted journalism, so he said, well, why don't you work for IBM and write those press releases for them? That's what I was figuring. If I learned some economics, maybe I could write press releases for IBM. That's when IBM was a big thing, by the way. They're not as big anymore.
I'd say it worked out pretty well for you, man.
Yes, I hope so. Thank you. Thanks. Have
Charlie,
a great weekend.
Hey, you too. We appreciate it. Charlie Gasparino, Fox Business senior correspondent, New York Post columnist. It's always good to get his theory on what's going on there. Trying to make everything better, and dollars are getting tighter and tighter for everybody. The Missouri legislature tried to do something to help out seniors, and they passed Senate Bill 190, but it's got some interesting wrinkles in that. We're going to talk with St. Charles County Collector Michelle McBride on the other side to find out why isn't this as easy as what the legislature said it was supposed to be. My name's Mike Elam, in for Annie-Frey today on 97.1 FM Talk.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I am a two-time customer of Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan. And when I had sat down and I learned about what Stewie does and why, when it comes to getting a mortgage, getting a refinance, why Stewie is just doing it differently than everyone else and how it's contributed to his massive success of helping people like you and helping people like me get the mortgages, the refinances that we need for our own personal situations. When I sat down with Stewie to do the first Bagel Loan refinance, it was essentially because rates had come down so dramatically from when we had purchased the house in 2015. I went through the process, used the Bagel Loan, paid nothing in closing costs, and lowered my rate so significantly. The amount of money it put back in our pocket was dramatic every single month. Now, if you're looking to buy a house right now, or potentially based on when you bought your house here recently, you're looking to lower your rate as well, the Bagel Loan is a no-brainer. Pay nothing in closing costs. Get the Bagel Loan with Stewie, only with Stewie, at 314-324-4440. 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan for more info. NMLS number 226715.
The only person who can change your life is you, but you need to know how. Listen to my show, The Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins.
Listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and wondering how long your money will last? Are you also sick of worrying about losing your life savings in the next market crash? I'm Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw. As a family business, we are committed to protect even retirement, but more importantly, it will show you how long your money will last. Stop wondering if you have enough to retire comfortably.
Call us now at 314-993-9494 for a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review. We'll teach you the strategies you won't hear from your broker or banker. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. We've been helping our clients retire with confidence for the past 37 years. Let us help you. So go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
If you have ever thought about remodeling your bathroom but were worried it would take too long or cost too much, then stop worrying. Right now, Jacuzzi Bath Remodel has designed a collection of high-quality custom products and perfected the one-day remodeling experience so you can enjoy your new bathroom faster than ever before. It's a worry-free bath remodel from the most trusted brand name in the business, Jacuzzi. For a virtual or in-home appointment, call 800-826-9895. That's 800-826-9895. 800-826-9895.
If you're hiring, it can feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. Like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Now try ZipRecruiter free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/FREE.
Annie here to talk to you about losing weight and feeling healthy with Slim 180. Register online for an appointment at myslim180.com and get $25 off your appointment. Mention Annie and get 20% off. The Regenerate program, which is a semaglutide that you can get at MySlim 180, is so much more reasonable than a pharmacy. Also, their Crave program that pairs with their nutritional guidance program along with phentermine. And their nutritional guidance program, one-on-one counseling, individualized attention, helping clients reach their goal. Lose weight with Slim 180. Make your appointment today at myslim180.com.
The economy numbers came back. It looks like inflation is slowing, but is that good news or bad news? We just talked to Charlie Gasparino of Fox Business about that. So rewind to 125 to catch that, or 1225 to catch that interview. The time is 12:45. This update is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
You could be watching this right now. Tune into the Annie Frey Show live stream. YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, Twitch. You know what? Just type in Annie Frey Show live stream. You're listening to the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
So we appreciate you tuning in today. Annie is off. My name is Mike Elam. Everybody else except for Brad decided to bail on the show today. It's like it's a Friday in July or something. You know, kids have stuff going on, and they think that's a perfectly good excuse to take the day off. So Hannah's gone, Wiggins gone, and of course, Annie's not here today, but we appreciate the fact that you are here today. If you haven't logged in and checked out our poll today, our YouTube live chat poll, in honor of National Ice Cream Day, what is your favorite ice cream flavor? Is it vanilla? Is it chocolate? Is it cookie dough? Or is it other? And if it's other, what is other? What does that mean for you? Some people said they like butter pecan, what did they say? Mint chocolate chip and a waffle cone. How about that? Somebody like Neapolitan. What are you into? So log on, let us know. We'll give you the results of that poll a little bit later on. Hey, the Senate passed SB 190, and it got handed down to the local communities. And once it got handed down to the local communities, and the county council, your county commissioners, depending on what size county that you're in the state of Missouri, is supposed to take a vote and apply that to your local community. Well, once it got handed down to the local communities, the collectors and assessors started looking at it and saying, hang on, before you do anything, let us understand this. And a bunch of questions came up. So I wanted to reach out to Michelle McBride, who is the St. Charles County collector, and just find out a little bit about some of the challenges of putting this bill into place. Michelle, how are you today?
I am doing great, Mike, and thank you so much for inviting me to join you today.
Well,
I did not take Friday off.
Well, I took Friday off from one of my 4 jobs, but I decided to come in and work this job. So I took a vacation day from one job so I can go work another job. I don't know if that's going to pay off long term, but you know, we'll see how it plays out today. So I appreciate the fact that not only are you working, but you're helping me work at one of my other jobs, because you were nice enough to share some correspondence about where the Missouri collectors as a group are when they look at this bill. Can you share a little bit about, from a group perspective of collectors across the state of Missouri, what are the challenges that you guys are running into with this bill?
Well, I'd just like to say first, we, the collectors, are supporting the concept of reducing the tax burden on Missouri senior citizens. The issue is the language of Senate Bill 190 is very ambiguous. It lacks clarity for necessary, consistent implementation statewide, and there's also been questions raised about the constitutionality of it. So it's a well-meaning piece of legislation designed to give tax breaks to senior citizens. And the sections removing the filing status requirement and the cap on Missouri adjusted gross income are clear, and they provide real benefit to the citizens in the state of Missouri. The section on freezing real estate property tax, however, puts forth some basic concepts. We believe it's really just a starting point. The language is so ambiguous that it's mechanically problematic. Let's just start with the term county tax. The drafter of the bill believes that means all the tax that the county collector collects via the annual tax statement. However, the state of Missouri has already communicated that none of the blind pension fund revenue that is collected via that county tax bill should be reduced.
Now, what's a blind pension fund?
That is what the 0.3% on your 0.03% on the tax bill listed as state. That's
Okay.
where that goes to.
Gotcha.
So everybody pays that on real estate and personal property. It goes to the state of Missouri, who uses it for the blind pension fund and the people who benefit from that.
Okay.
So then the next question that comes up, well, does St. Charles County Council, or does the commission in another county, depending on the size, as you mentioned, have the authority to withhold taxes from the fire district, the ambulance district, the library, the schools, the cities. Who do you think is going to be the first political subdivision to sue St. Charles County Council if they pass something and take away revenue from those other political subdivisions?
And there are an awful lot of people that St. Charles County collects for, but they don't keep. If you go down through your tax bill and you look at it, especially in your real estate tax bill, at least in St. Charles County, you pay the county actually $0 for the last few years. But your schools, your fire district, your ambulance district, fire district, all of these that you've been talking about, we collect for those. So do we have the authority, or is that what the first lawsuit that got filed is asking?
Well, I'm not exactly sure the specifics of that lawsuit, but that is one of the first questions all of the collectors ask, because we don't believe we have the right to withhold money from these other political subdivisions. And we don't believe the county council has that right. Because you're messing with somebody else's revenue, their ability to provide the services that the citizens have approved their tax levies to provide for them. So that probably comes down to play some of the constitutionality questions. There are questions as to, does it violate the Hancock Amendment? Does it violate Article 10, Section 3, where you start charging people different amounts of tax? That's a good question. I'm not an attorney. I guess the courts are going to litigate that for us. But that is really the first question. What does county tax actually mean? And as you mentioned, Mike, if you're a resident of St. Charles County, if it just means the county general revenue tax, passing this did nothing.
Yeah, because it's zero anyway.
That's correct. And it's not just zero in St. Charles County. There are at least 12 other counties I could name who also have zero general revenue tax.
So I'm getting the idea from the bill sponsor that the bill sponsor meant for this to include all taxes paid by seniors in a county in the state of Missouri. But to your point, because that language is not clear, and because it's not clear that county governments can take money from other political subdivisions that the county collects for, that there could be an awful lot of lawsuits that are filed from this, from the schools, the fire districts, and everybody else. So from a MCCA, a collector's point of view, what are you folks hoping happens to get the clarity that you need to be able to do your job? Because you're the ones that are going to have to implement this across the state.
Well, that's really a question, too. It doesn't necessarily say that we have to do all of the work. Who's handling the application process? What's the proof of eligibility that somebody has to provide? What's the statutory retention schedule for that proof of eligibility? Whose responsibility is to track, and if ownership changes, is it an annual application by somebody who wants a tax break? Does it go retroactive to when they became eligible for Social Security? Does it start effective when a county passes an ordinance putting it into play, and is that where it gets freezed? And when you've got a home in an individual's name, it's easy to see that they might be eligible because it's their homestead. What about a home titled to a trust?
Right.
What about a home titled to an LLC? The language in the bill talks about eligible Social Security. What about the hardworking railroad employees who aren't eligible for Social Security because they have their own retirement system they paid into? Or the civil service employees who didn't pay into Social Security and therefore aren't eligible because they have the CSRS? Is it fair not to give relief to those senior citizens because they were in a different type of job? So MCCA is really hoping that the legislators in Jefferson City will come to the table with us early next session and work out some of the ambiguities and put some clarity into this so that it can be consistently applied across the state. And we can make sure that what we're doing is constitutional.
So we're talking to Michelle McBride. She is the St. Charles County Collector. Michelle, I've got about a minute left here. So you folks obviously are looking for an awful lot of questions. You just rattled them off as to what you need to have answers to. Do you know of any county so far that has put this into place? I know St. Louis County was talking about it, but it sounds like they have tabled it for the moment.
And that's what we're hearing. Other counties would like to move forward. However, when we bring forth our questions, which I just tipped the iceberg there, they're like, whoa, we can't rush into this. This needs to be thought through a little more.
Right. We've had a number of us on St. Charles County Council. Obviously, seniors started reaching out to us right away and asking, hey, will you put this into place? And we thought it was a good idea in theory, but when you started digging into it a little deeper and, you know, getting some stuff from you, getting some stuff from the assessor's office, a lot of questions started coming up. So, Michelle, I appreciate the fact you just spending some time with us, just digging into this a little bit deeper, because there's an awful lot of seniors who are sure hoping that this goes into place. But obviously, we need to finish baking this pie before it's ready to serve.
Absolutely.
Michelle, thanks again. Have a wonderful Friday. Thanks for actually working on a Friday. We appreciate that.
You too, Mike. Thank you. Have a great day and a wonderful weekend.
You too. That is Michelle McBride. As you can see, you know, great ideas are awesome, but they really need to be fully baked. Otherwise, you end up with all kinds of other issues. Hey, a guy who is hoping to be your next governor, Jay Ashcroft, he's got a big lead right now. We're going to talk to him on the other side. He is your Missouri Secretary of State. My name is Mike Elam, sitting in for Annie-Frey today on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey, it's Mark Bearden for Ophthalmology Associates. My eye health is super important to me for a variety of reasons. About 30 years ago, I had an eye disease, and I almost had a retinal detachment, had surgery. Everything has been okay, but regular eye care has become important for me and has been for decades, and I only trust the best. And that's Doctors Greg Birdie and Ranjan Malhotra at Ophthalmology Associates. They're here in St. Louis to take care of all of your vision needs. Maybe you have dry eye or your eyes itchy and scratchy. It might be more than just allergies. And Ophthalmology Associates is a leader in dry eye diagnosis and treatment. Let's talk LASIK. With modern LASIK procedures, more people can benefit, and LASIK can reduce or eliminate your need for contacts and glasses. Even if there's nothing going on in particular, annual eye health exams can prevent many kinds of eye and health problems, and they're typically covered by insurance. If you want excellent eye care, trust Ophthalmology Associates. It's a great office experience and staff. They're always on the leading edge of the latest technology. 12990 Manchester Road, a half mile west of 270, 314-966-5000. Online at youridoc.com. That's youridoc.com.
Updating your home with James Hardie Siding has never been more popular. With all the options available, you need a partner to maximize your investment. The rising prices on vinyl siding has made Hardie Siding a great alternative. Siding Express is ready to refresh the appearance of your home or totally transform the look by installing Hardie Shake, board and batten, lap siding, or a stone accent to make it your dream home again. Siding Express is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor. Need ideas? Go to sidingexpress.com and schedule a free, no-obligation consultation today.
Diamonds Direct's Midsummer Savings Event is happening right now. With an extra 20% savings, an expanded selection, and in-store designer appearances. Take an extraordinary 20% off Diamonds Direct's already unbeatable prices on rings, earrings, bracelets, bands, colored gemstone jewelry, and thousands of engagement ring mountings. Meet the designers who've flown in with all new collections for the summer. The best savings, the best selection, the best value. Don't miss this once-a-year jewelry shopping event. Even open this Sunday. Details, showroom hours, directions, and more at diamondsdirect.com.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-3333. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, job relocation houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-3333. That's 314-782-3333.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Case cracked. Gianna Gelosi, Fox News. Cops think they cracked the case of the Long Island serial killer.
Fox News has confirmed that New York City architect Rex Heuermann is the person arrested in connection with a series of Long Island killings that date back to 2010. The remains of 9 women, 1 man, and a toddler were found along Gilgo Beach, and investigators have searched for answers for years. Heuermann, who is 59, was taken into custody Thursday night in Manhattan, where his business is located. Suffolk County Executive Steve Ballone says law enforcement never gave up.
I want the public to know, I think the message to the public is that we have never stopped working on this case.
The case is now in the hands of a grand jury. In New York City, Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
Who left cocaine at the White House? That case wasn't cracked. The Secret Service says they're done trying to figure it out.
White House officials have been telling reporters privately for days now not to expect much out of this investigation. And it turns out they were right. The Secret Service announcing they've concluded their investigation and saying they have no suspects of interest. Now, members of Congress received a classified briefing about the investigation yesterday. One Republican lawmaker says she was given the following clue and is surprised it was not acted upon.
What we are told is there are 182 lockers on the wall of the foyer in the West Wing for individuals to put items in, and this was found in locker number 50, and the key currently is missing.
Now, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says it should not take Inspector Clouseau to solve this case. Democrats say you cannot drug test everyone.
And the Department of Education going to start notifying more than 804,000 borrowers that $39 billion worth of federal student loans are going to be discharged in the coming weeks if you've been paying for 20 or 25 years on a plan. America's listening to Fox News.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/FREE. ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Let's keep a close eye on the sky and the weather as we go through the afternoon, waiting for some developing showers and thunderstorms around. A couple of them could be strong to severe, but it's not a widespread event. 92 degrees, periods of showers and a couple of thunderstorms this evening. 70 Saturday and Sunday, looks pretty good. Partly sunny skies, maybe a spot thunderstorm each day 90 to 92. This is 97.1 FM Talk, Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Second Amendment Radio is a staple of solid firearm information on 97.1 every weekend. Saturday from 3 to 4 and Sunday from noon to 1. It's Second Amendment Radio and the great outdoors. 97.1 FM Talk.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-777-1979. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-777-1979. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-777-1979. 1979. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-777-1979. 800-777-1979 or biglou.com.
If you're planning a big outdoor project, July is the perfect time with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Mark Cox here. Chesterfield Fence and Deck will give you 20% off your project if you mention my name in the month of July. They're celebrating 55 years in business. This is a locally owned and operated business since 1968, and they have a lot of pride in what they do. If you have their sign in your yard, it's a sign you have the very best. They do fences, wood, and vinyl. They make decks out of beautiful natural cedar or Vecadec vinyl decking, which is zero maintenance. You're going to love that. They also do custom sunrooms and screen rooms and pergolas and patios, you name it. A BBB Torch Award winner, highly rated by the Better Business Bureau, and they have financing options available. Call them at 636-532-4054. Mention me and get 20% off. Go to chesterfieldfence.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
I'm Jim Onder. Have questions after being injured in an accident? We'll match you with the Onder Law team that's right for you and your case.
Onder Law Personal Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Your company's privacy and security could be on the line every time you send an email. Mark Cox here for River City Internet Group and myemailservice.com. They're a locally owned and operated email provider. They have their own building, servers, and data center to ensure your security. If you have 100 employees, they might save you close to $10,000 a year over Google G Suite Basic, and they'll work with your IT company to migrate everything. Go online today to myemailservice.com.
How might this week's big stories impact your portfolio? Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale with Stifel. Join me and fellow Stifel financial advisor Eric Robert during On the Money every Saturday from 11 till noon right here on 97.1 FM Talk. Stifel, member NYSE and SIPC.
This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Hey, it's Mike Elam sitting in for Annie Frey today. We appreciate you being a part of the show, even though Annie, Hannah, Ryan all decided to take the day off. You know, I was talking about how everybody's gone except for me, Brad, Drew, and then I walked down the hallway, and of course, Trisha's here, and she is working diligently in her office to make sure that everything stays on the air, and it needs to, because it's pouring down rain downtown right now. Brad was just like, hey, are we supposed to have bad weather? I'm like, I don't think so. You look out the window and it's pouring down rain. But so I hope you're staying dry wherever you are. It got really hot today. I know I could use the water on my lawn. It desperately needs that. So what's going on in your world these days? Do you have an idea who you want to be president yet? Do you have an idea who you want to be governor yet? I know people are talking about the fact that it's early. It's early. And it is. We've still got over a year before we're going to go to the primary, and we're going to vote for Missouri governor. However, our Secretary of State and our Lieutenant Governor are the leading candidates for that. And Jay Ashcroft is on the phone with us. Mr. Secretary, how are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. I'm just a little jealous that you're getting rain. The rest of the state would love to have it. My parents cut hay last weekend. They didn't even wait a day for it to dry out. They cut it in the morning, and they got it in. They baled it in the afternoon. We'd love to have your rain.
Man, I would sure like for Missouri to get some more rain. It would definitely help us. Things just need to. They've been so dry. We need to get that. you seem to be the guy, though, who has got sunshine all over the place as I keep looking at the statewide governor polls. Congratulations. You're up by about 20 points in the last poll that I saw.
Well, thank you. I'm just so thankful that the people of the state have rewarded me for my work and what I've accomplished and the vision that I've expounded. I just want to get to work for the people of the state. They're fighting for a better tomorrow, and they deserve a governor that will fight just as hard right alongside them.
Well, I know you're probably burning the tires off of vehicles as you travel around the state. I'm just curious, what are you hearing are the big issues that people want to talk about these days across Missouri?
You know, there are a lot of issues that are coming up. There are always the pocketbook issues, the cost of gas, inflation, the cost of everything is going up. I think education, every parent wants their child to have the opportunity for a challenging education, and politicians have been talking about that for decades. And I think it's time we elected an engineer to actually, instead of fix the blame, fix the problem. And then look at crime. St. Louis, we see it in Kansas City. There are parts of St. Louis where the citizens have been scared and the criminals haven't. We need to make sure that it's the criminals that are scared and citizens are free to make decisions that are in their best interest to be the most successful they can be.
You know, I was talking with, I was at the Rotary Club meeting the other day, and Luanne Cundiff, who we're actually going to talk with, who's the president of First State Bank there, said she had a banker friend of hers from Honolulu, Hawaii, who had some staff that is coming to St. Louis for a meeting. And he asked her, are my people going to be safe while they're in St. Louis? Because the impression is, through the rest of the country and probably for the rest of the world, that St. Louis is the wild, wild west, and people are getting gunned down on the streets every day. And while that may be the reality in pockets, it's not the overall. But, man, when it comes to the impression, that's definitely the impression that we're giving out, is that St. Louis is just riddled with crime.
We try to have companies move to Missouri because we are a great place to live, great place to raise a family. Our taxes are low, although we need to make them lower. We have low energy prices. We've got space. But every time an employer tells his employees, hey, I want to move to Missouri, those employees just go on Google or DuckDuckGo or something, and suddenly they're saying, wait a minute, we're not moving to Missouri. Have you seen what's going on in St. Louis? My kid can't get an education. It's unsafe. We've got to fix that. And I think there are a lot of rural Missourians that think, well, it's just St. Louis. Too bad. No. St. Louis, Kansas City, they're part of Missouri. And when they do well, Missouri does well. And when they're doing badly, Missouri does badly. We need a governor that will fight for this entire state so we all have opportunity.
You know, County Executive Elam talks about a lot, especially when we're down at the East-West Gateway meetings, that this is a regional problem. And to your point, it's a state problem. And we all have a dog in this fight, whether we think we do or not, because to your point, when people are looking at relocating to the state of Missouri, there are certain things they look at, and crime is a big one that we're going to have to fix. You know, I did Mark Reardon's show on Monday here. I just fill in wherever they need me, Jay. I'm just that guy. Stick me in wherever. I'll be here to talk.
Jose Oquendo.
That's me, baby. Weapon. I am Jose Oquendo. I'm going to be coaching third base next week. We're going to see how this works. But I had the opportunity to talk to B.J. Tanksley earlier, the Missouri's broadband director. And
used to be the Farm Bureau.
Yes. So great guy, completely understands what we're facing, but a huge opportunity. But it speaks to where Missouri is. Missouri was just awarded $1.736 billion for broadband expansion throughout the state. Only California and Texas got more money. And while I think that's great, I think it speaks to a problem that no one really talks about. We talk about crime, we talk about education, but when you were talking about trying to get businesses to look at the state of Missouri, we are one of the most horribly connected states in the United States of America, and that is why we are getting almost $2 billion to go get us connected, which could change our economic forecast moving forward by leaps and bounds.
You know, former Senator Roy Blunt has been a champion for the state of Missouri with broadband. I've worked with him extensively on that. I've been out in D.C. with him on that. I've worked hard. We used to talk about how do we get better connectivity between government buildings, build up that backbone so that private businesses can build off of that. I'm glad to see that we're moving forward with that. I think BJ's doing a great job, but we have just got to keep changing our state so that people will understand the benefits we have. We ought to be the multimodal logistics hub of the nation, if not the Western Hemisphere. Look at our railroads, look at our interstates, look at our waterways. We ought to be doing container on barge from the Gulf of Mexico instead of it all being offloaded in the Gulf and shipped around. Now that they've expanded the Panama Canal, we need those ships and those containers being dropped on barges to be brought up to a port in St. Louis area, and then smaller ships and barges to take them to Kansas City, drop the cost of moving finished goods and raw materials. We ought to be the place where companies are saying, hey, if we're there, we can get whatever we produce or whatever we need in 24 hours. This is the place where people ought to be. Several things we got to do, but the future is bright if we're willing to make the decisions to move Missouri forward.
We are talking with Missouri Secretary of State and candidate for governor of the state of Missouri, Secretary Jay Ashcroft. You know, you've been talking a lot about the ESG and what ESG is doing to the country and trying to get a path away from wokeness. What do you think that pathway is for the state of Missouri?
Well, what we've done in Missouri, and there are other states that are starting to follow us, like Wyoming and Mississippi and Georgia, and I think we're going to continue to see others follow us. What we said was, we will not allow investment advisors or broker-dealers to take our investors' money, Missourians' hard-earned money that they want put aside for retirement or a wedding or a vacation or something like that, instead of getting them the best return on their investment, to siphon some of those funds, if you will, towards some sort of woke social agenda. So I put out a rule as the head of the securities enforcement here in Missouri and said, if a Missourian wants to invest in those woke ideas, it's their money, they can do that. But if you're an investment advisor and you're going to put someone's money into that sort of stuff without their knowledge and without their consent, I've got an awful big hammer of the government, and we're going to come after you because that's fraud. And I'm going to protect the people's money, not going to tell them what to do with it, but I'm going to make sure that what's done with people's money is what they want. That's what we're doing, and I think that's the way to lead.
You know, we were talking earlier before we came on the air with Drew and Brad and I, just talking about what this wokeness has cost companies. I mean, we see it a lot here in Missouri with Anheuser-Busch being here and Bud Light losing $28 billion of market cap. You've seen what's happened with Target, where the public in general is saying, we're fed up, right? No more of this wokeness. We're done with it. But the ESG factor really offsets that. And as long as they're going to continue to do that, it's kind of their way of saying, I don't really care what consumers say. We're going to make your money and your investment dependent upon being a part of this ESG. So I think what you're doing on trying to make sure that you bring that hammer that you're talking about is really going to be a game changer for us.
You know, when Augie Bush was in charge, the only social engineering they had was to make sure we had a good baseball team. And I wish we had that back.
We are definitely missing that good baseball team. We're going to talk with Matt Pauley next hour about, hey, what is the future of Cardinals? Should they be good or should they just play for next year? I hate to sound like a Cub fan and already be at the All-Star break going, wait till next year. That's I don't want to be that. Hey, I wanted to ask you, you have joined with some other Republican Secretary of States around the country and saying that Anthony Blinken needs to get out of his job.
Yes, and it shouldn't be voluntary. He should be fired. He was part of some of the largest mis- and disinformation with regard to elections this country has ever seen. He did it in ways that were wholly inappropriate. Someone that wants to be in government needs to be a public servant, not someone that would mislead the public for their own personal good. He should be thrown out on his ear. It should have already happened, and I'm disappointed that it hasn't.
It just seems like this administration finds ways to embarrass themselves time and time and time again. And just when you think they've kind of hit a new low, something else happens. I mean, this cocaine at the White House story, I think, is a great example of the fact of the Secret Service comes out and says, hey, we're closing the investigation. We're not going to be able to figure out whose cocaine it was. Well, first of all, I don't know that I believe that you haven't figured out. I think you know exactly whose cocaine that was. But I think it makes our Secret Service look incompetent for them to come out and publicly say, we're not going to be able to figure it out. I mean, at the very least, leave the investigation open and leave it pending like you're looking. I don't think any of us believe you are, but at least make it look like you're looking, and don't look incompetent to where you can't actually find out who's leaving illegal drugs in our White House.
You know, the problem with this administration, though, is you can't be sure they aren't just that incompetent.
This is true.
It could be incompetence. It could be that they just lied to us without even thinking about it, so they're continuing to do that. Or it could be a combination of both. I mean, that's how far we have sunk.
Brad was just saying to me off the air, whenever Joe Biden says, honestly, or I want to tell you the truth, or something to that.
No, it's not a joke.
It's not a joke.
Come on, man. No, I'm serious.
I'm
He's
serious.
just not able to, evidently.
Whenever he says that, that means he is getting ready to lie to you. That is exactly what you have coming up. Hey, Mr. Secretary, I know you have to run, and I appreciate you spending some time with us. I just wanted to kind of check in with you real quick and find out before we get out of here, what are your plans? What are you doing next? What's next on the Ashcroft Across Missouri tour?
Going to be in Jefferson County tonight. Going to be in Lawrence County on Saturday. And then Sunday, I'll be in church, hoping to make the early service. But with 4 kids, we don't make the early service that often. Sunday will be a day with the family.
I was just floating it out there as an open question because I didn't know if there was a shot. My wife informed me earlier today she's going to Post Malone. And I was like, is Jay Ashcroft coming into town to go to Post Malone tonight? But with 4 kids, man, that's just
there
a little.
You go.
That's one bridge too far. Hey, Mr. Secretary, we appreciate you taking some time. Good luck with everything. We know it's early and it's going to be a long campaign, so I'm sure we'll be checking in quite a bit over the next year. Hope you have a wonderful weekend, and thanks again for the time.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
That is Jay Ashcroft. He is our Secretary of State for the state of Missouri. He is a candidate for governor. He's doing well so far. He's posting a 20-point lead in the latest polls that they had. They have Mike Kehoe in at 14. Bill Eigel is at 4, but 48% so far have said, I'm not sure. It's unusual, I think, for us in past races that you've got the lieutenant governor and the secretary of state, both very well known across the state, who are squaring off to run for governor. So 2 very well-known people. So we're going to find out where that race ends up going. Hey, saw a story earlier today about the St. Louis Fed chief is stepping down, and he is going to run Purdue University. Not sure what that really means, but Luanne Cundiff, who is the president of First State Bank of St. Charles, is going to join us for a little bit. She is an actual representative that works with the Fed, with community banks. So we are going to talk with Luanne on the other side and get a better idea of what does that mean, and we're going to talk about some economic issues that are going on. My name is Mike Elam, sitting in for Annie Frey. Brad is here. Drew is here. We are working away. Of course, I didn't want to leave Tricia out. She is in there keeping the station on the air throughout all the bad weather that's going on in downtown right now. We appreciate you listening. Make sure that you get a part of that YouTube live chat poll in honor of National Ice Cream Day. What is your favorite flavor of ice cream? Is it vanilla? Is it chocolate? Is it cookie dough? Is it something else? Right now, chocolate's in the lead. Is that where it's going to end up? Stay tuned. You'll find out more. It's the 97.1 FM Talk, Annie Frey Show.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Hey, it's Tom Ackerman. Where do you go for your annual eye health examination? Ophthalmology Associates, of course. Doctors Greg Birdie and Ranjan Malhotra. Dr. Robert Bersati, he's the one I saw. Or Dr. Andrew Royer. They are available to you and are there to take care of all your vision needs at Ophthalmology Associates. They're on Manchester Road, a half mile west of 270. Your vision is their business at Ophthalmology Associates. In fact, many of their patients are doctors themselves. That's why they call themselves the doctors, Ophthalmology Associates. Are your eyes itchy and scratchy? It could be more than just allergies. They're the leaders in dry eye diagnosis and treatment. They're the leaders in LASIK and discussing those procedures. And if you're having difficulty reading or driving at night, you have glare from oncoming headlights, could be early signs of cataracts, and they can talk to you about multifocal lens implants. Ophthalmology Associates, youridoc.com.
When I can't sleep, my mind just races. I think about work, the kids, but I don't think about taking melatonin because I'm afraid I'll feel groggy in the morning.
ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies has an optimal dose of melatonin for no next-day grogginess, so you can fall asleep naturally and wake up feeling refreshed. ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies for better sleep like never before. And try Pure Z Sleep plus Next Day Energy with melatonin plus extended release B vitamins.
Do you have heart failure and often hear,
Those stomach issues ruined your birthday.
You're too tired to play catch, Grandpa.
Sweetie, you haven't touched your tools since the carpal tunnel syndrome diagnosis.
if these seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, talk to your cardiologist and ask about transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare and underdiagnosed disease that gets worse over time. Learn more at connecttoyourheart.com. That's connecttoyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
I was having a lot of sinus infections. My sinuses were clogged, pressure, headaches.
Linda suffered for years with chronic sinus infections.
You don't feel like doing anything. When you feel like your head is completely clogged, all you want to do is just lay down and sleep. And the pressure, it's just not fun, always walking around with a headache.
Now, her issues are gone. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of St. Louis Sinus Centers called balloon sinuplasty.
I really did not know what it was like to feel like you're really breathing and not being so clogged up. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I would definitely recommend it for someone else.
Do you suffer with chronic sinus infections, facial pain, pressure, congestion? Find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Set an appointment today with St. Louis Sinus Centers. Call 314-332-2885. 314-332-2885. That's 314-332-2885.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 54 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Friday afternoon, we take you into the weekend with a Reardon Roundtable. Jane Duker will be here. Former State Senator Jeff Smith, former County Councilman and Police Chief Tim Fitch. It all starts at 3.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis is home for conservative talk.
Cupid, draw back your bow.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
So Brad says earlier to me, so what kind of music do you like for bumper music? And I said, well, I'm a country guy, so I like country. So this starts playing, and I'm like, what the heck are you playing? And then Cupid hits, and I'm like, It's because my wife's going to see Post Malone,
Right.
isn't it? And she's in love with
I've
Post
got to
Malone.
be honest. I had an Adele song scheduled here, but I told Drew if he couldn't find Adele, he could fill it with whatever he wanted.
So Drew does this.
So he gave you Sam Cooke and Cupid.
So Drew's got love on a mind for a Friday. I see where this is going. It's all good. Hey, a guy who doesn't have love for the Fed anymore, I guess, has decided that he wants to be at Purdue University. Is the Fed chief here in St. Louis. He has decided, the Federal Reserve head in St. Louis. I don't know if he's a chief or not. I'm going to find out the title about that in just a second. But he has decided to move on to Purdue University. And I was just curious, what happens when a Fed chief leaves like that, the head of your St. Louis Fed? And a person who I know would know the answer to this is the president of First State Bank of St. Charles, Luanne Cundiff. Luanne, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm well. I know. So Luanne is always nervous when I reach out to her because she's like, this guy has gotten me into so many things that I'm just honored that you even take my calls and you haven't blocked me yet. So I appreciate that. Hey,
I could not block you.
See, I love that. Hey, tell me about, I know you were the president of First State Bank of St. Charles, which is an amazing bank. How many branches do you guys have now?
So in the St. Louis Metro, we have 5 full-service offices, and we have one in the Overland Park, Kansas area in the Kansas City Metro. But we have numerous loan production offices, so we do a lot of mortgage lending throughout the St. Louis and Kansas City areas. So, yeah, mortgage these days is on everyone's mind, so I'm sure that will probably come up in our conversation today.
Well, so I was just looking at the fact that I was saying to Brad earlier, because we were talking about housing and seeing that rates are getting up to almost 7% now on 30-year mortgages. And I can't imagine where some people are at these days in trying to buy a house, not just in St. Charles, but in the St. Louis region. It's got to be really hard.
You know, ironically, in 2022, when the pace of the rate increases was just so, the speed was just so fast that it took, a lot of consumers off guard, right, as they were trying to do their house hunting. But I think consumer mindsets have shifted to this point. So I don't necessarily think, let's be real. If we look at historic rates, 7% really is not that all that high. It's just we've been in such a low rate environment for such an extended period of time. But what really is the issue in housing is the lack of inventory nationally, and I think you were alluding to that earlier. You know, we had such low mortgage rates for so long, and we're sort of paying the price for that in terms of inventory because, as people are looking at, well, should I get out of my home where I'm locked in at a 3% interest rate and move that to a 7%? Can't really buy up in that situation because their payments go up. So there is a lot of sort of stalling in the market just to kind of see where rates land. But yeah, it's been a fascinating 18 months in good ways and bad ways, I guess.
Well, it's interesting that you would point out that that part about 7% not really being that high historically, because like I was saying to Brad before, I bought my first house in 94 when my first son was born, and we paid 7%, and we really didn't think that much about it. If you got a 6% rate or a 5.5% rate, you were probably on an ARM back then. And I don't even hear ARMs being discussed anymore. I'm sure you have them, and I'm sure you offer them, but it just doesn't seem to be a topic of discussion that I hear people talking about like we used to hear back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, I think it was really a point of discussion last year. This year, not so much, because I think consumers have really adjusted better than, honestly, what I expected. I think the delay in the rising interest rates that we have yet to see, this is the whole lag in our economy, in my opinion. A lot of small business loans have yet to reprice. Sometimes that takes, 18, 24, sometimes 36 months for them to, for those loans to reprice, and that's the adjustment that we have yet to see. So, yeah, we're not out of the woods yet. That's for sure.
Well, I wanted to ask you, when I saw the story today about the head of the St. Louis Fed who is leaving to go run Purdue University, and I know you have a relationship with the Fed, and forgive me because I should know this. What is your, I guess for lack of a better term, title relationship with the Fed?
Sure. So to be clear, I am not an employee of the Fed. But,
right.
For those of you who aren't aware, there are 12 Federal Reserve districts across the United States. St. Louis, of course, is one of them, and there are 7 states in the 8th district, half of Missouri being part of that district. So part of what the Fed does is get, feedback from all sorts of industries, including the banking industry, which are some of those that, they regulate. And they set up advisory councils for each group. So one of their advisory councils is it's a long-term Community Depository Institution Advisory Council. So it's 12 executives from smaller institutions that comprise this advisory council. So I'm fortunate that I serve as chair of that council, so then I report up from the 8th district up to the Board of Governors twice a year, just to and the whole purpose is to communicate, what's happening, in Main Street USA to those that are making policy decisions in terms of interest rates and so forth. So the governors in D.C. sit on the Open Market Committee. So that's, when you hear about rates changing and so forth, it's the Open Market Committee that has that impact.
So the gentleman who's leaving the St. Louis Fed to go to Purdue, how will they go about replacing that position?
Yeah, so President Bullard, or former President Bullard, I should say, he stepped down yesterday. So he is now serving in an advisory capacity. So he will definitely be missed. He is a huge leader, not only in the 8th district, but nationally. And he has one of the longest serving tenures as president of a Federal Reserve Bank. So it's a huge hole for sure. But he left in place just a great management team, which is awesome. So he's not running, from what I understand, he's not running Purdue. He is becoming the inaugural dean of the School of Business at Purdue.
Oh, okay.
On August 15th. So the good news is the knowledge that he has gained. I mean, if you think about it, his tenure as CEO at the Fed, was 15 years. So think about the last 15 years and what we've been through. The Great Recession, we had, low interest rates for an extended period of time. We had COVID and then the high unemployment, and now we have dealt with inflation. And he, along with, not just him, he has a great research staff within the St. Louis Fed that helps him try to navigate all of these issues. But he has just been he's been in the forefront in terms of communication to the public, and to try to gain transparency throughout the system. And he will definitely be missed. But the good news in all of this, the way I see it, is he's going to be helping to educate our future workforce, which is definitely needed. So, I just wish him all the best, and I know he'll take that knowledge and train new people to come on in future years. So
will there be an interim that will take his place?
Yeah, so the first vice president, Kathy Pace, she is the acting president and CEO of the Fed now. So they have hired a national search team to look for a permanent president and chief executive officer for the Fed. And I know they are always transparent about how they go about that. The Kansas City Fed is in the same boat. Their CEO left in January, so they have a search team for that Fed as well. So we have 2 Feds in the state of Missouri that have search teams looking for a new Fed chief. So
I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that both St. Louis and Kansas City's baseball teams are horrible, and they're both getting out of town. That have nothing to do with that. But it is interesting. We were talking with Charlie Gasparino last hour about where is the Fed going, and just talking about the fact of what the latest CPI numbers were and what that means. Do you get a sense of what do you think they're going to be looking for at both St. Louis' position and Kansas City's position, and what they're going to be looking to try and fill those folks with?
Well, of course, the people that they choose have to have, a strong economic background, of course, a strong background with financial institutions because they regulate a lot of different financial institutions across the country. Payments is changing by the day. So they have to be very knowledgeable of that. And most importantly, a great communicator. One of the most important jobs of that position is being able to communicate all of the breadth of research that each reserve bank provides to the CEO of each Federal Reserve. So it's a critical component because the Reserve Bank presidents serve on a rotating basis to the Open Market Committee. So what they say can literally move markets. So it's definitely an important position. But going forward in terms of the rate environment, when you hear Chairman Powell speak about, we're going to look at the data, and just, what we just saw in the recent CPI numbers, that's what they're part of many things that they look at. And it could come in lower than they expect, or it could come in higher. And it really is true that you have to wait for the data. You can't, it's sometimes hard to forecast really what's going to happen. But yeah, fascinating times.
It definitely is. And so this is Luanne Cundiff that we're talking to. She is the president of First State Bank of St. Charles. Luanne, how old is your bank? When was it founded?
We were chartered in 1867. So please don't ask me if I was one of the founders of our bank, because the answer is no.
Well, that would be really bad on me because I know I'm older than you. So that would make me even older. So we're definitely not going to do that. Hey, I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time. When I saw this story, I knew you would be someone who knew. I wanted to ask you more about the housing market and all of the apartments that are going up, but we will do that when we come back on another time. Because I need to move on from a time check on this one. So I appreciate the fact that on very short notice, you were kind enough to actually answer the phone when I called and agreed to come on the Annie Frey Show today. So thank you for doing that, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
All right. Thank you very much. Great to be with you. Have a good weekend.
That is Luanne Cundiff. She is a super nice person. By the way, when Trump was president, she was in the White House at least twice that I know of. So it's good to have a person from St. Louis area
that's pretty cool.
who's got a voice on a national stage and being able to do that. It's sad what has happened to a lot of community banks around the country. And First State Bank of St. Charles, as she's talking about, having such a long history, it's good to see that we have some of our strong community banks that continue to hang in there and lead the way and set the tone and have a voice, like I was saying, from a national perspective and coming from the St. Louis area. I think that's really cool. Appreciate you guys hanging in with us today. Like we said, Annie is off today. Wiggins is gone today. Hannah's gone today. Brad got the short straw and gets to hang out with the county council guy. But we're not going to talk about the county council stuff because I'm sure that's going to be a completely different show. I do want to talk to you about ice cream, though. So if you haven't logged in and let us know, where are you on your favorite flavor of ice cream? Go on to the YouTube live chat poll. Is it chocolate, vanilla, cookie dough? Is it something else? Chocolate's still leading the way. We'll see. A lot of people like that chocolate fix. It's St. Louis's home for conservative talk. My name's Mike Elam, in for Annie Frey today on 97.1 FM Talk.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Instagram @The Annie Frey Show.
This is Bruce Adams with All Surface Flooring, here to announce our anniversary sale starting July 17th through July 22nd. That week only, we'll be offering 20% off our entire store, including Mohawk Smart Strand Carpet, and the incredible, durable Mohawk Ultrawood. On Saturday, July 22nd, come join us for our parking lot extravaganza. Help us celebrate all-surface flooring with food, drinks, prizes, and our largest sale in store history. You won't want to miss this one-time only sale.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness 101 for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness 101. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
You need a home or commercial security system you can rely on? Hi, I'm Dave with Reliant Security, and we're based right here in St. Louis. When you need us, I'll take your call. I've worked for the big box security guys, and I've wanted to do things differently, the right way, putting my customers first. We'll beat their pricing with fixed rates and no long-term contracts. From CCTV to personal emergency response systems to energy management and more. Let us secure your home or business. See all the ways you can rely on Reliant. Visit us at secure-reliant.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands to treat ED at up to 95% off. That's right, the same active ingredient as the brand name for 95% less. It's the same ED medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
John Mozeliak spoke to the public, and he said some stuff about trades for the St. Louis Cardinals. What does that entail? Who might be traded? We don't know, but we're going to go ahead and ask Matt Pauley at the top of the hour. He'll be joining us. He's a KMOX host of Sports Open Line. The time is 1:47. This update is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
St. Louis is home for conservative talk.
Mining for truth in a landscape of BS. 97.1 FM Talk. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
It's the Annie Frey Show. My name is Mike Elam, sitting in for Annie today. It was just so funny. So this song kicks in, and Brad looks at me, and he goes, "Hey, it's not Cupid." I love it. That works for me. Are we having fun yet, at least?
I'm having a blast.
So, the great part about filling in and doing radio shows, you get to pontificate on whatever subject is there, which I try not to do a lot about because I know Ms. Harrison just quoted on the Facebook feed where she was saying, hey, I appreciate all of the information that we're getting today, some local and national guests and talking about a lot of different stuff. But I love the fact that I get the opportunity to have conversations with people, and you get to learn about stuff. And there's so many things that are going on from a national perspective, with Charlie talking about interest rates and Luanne talking about who's going to run the St. Louis Fed. I didn't realize that the Kansas City Fed was looking for a head as well.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
So you've got 2 of the 12 who are out right now. So it's one of those things of, wow, that could really change the makeup of the Fed as a whole, depending on who actually goes in and fills those seats. There's a lot that I didn't even think about before, right? But just being able to kind of go in and talk to those folks and the education that we get to learn. It's one of the things that I love about talk radio so much. You've got this exchange of ideas. And I know a lot of times we turn out to be talking heads and, hey, I'm going to pontificate of, here's my wisdom of what you need to think, and Joe Biden sucks. That's kind of where we are. But some of the subjects that come up, you're like, I just shake my head when I look at some news stories and I go, what the heck is wrong with you? And this Hollywood strike is one that happened that I'm shaking my head going, what is wrong with you? And I don't understand where these people are. So there's a writer's strike that's going on right now. And if you watch TV, you know there's a writer's strike that's going on right now. So my wife and I used to sit down and watch Tucker Carlson pretty much every night at 7. The reason we started watching Tucker Carlson pretty much every night at 7 is because we realized we really didn't like anything that was on TV. There just wasn't a show that I found entertaining and intriguing enough to watch on a regular basis. And I'm like, okay, well, that show kind of stinks, and that one has no interest, and I don't want to watch another blue hair cop show.
Well, it's kind of very interesting that you mentioned that, because I'm noticing that as well. It's just not a lot of TV shows that are interesting. Like the History Channel doesn't talk about history anymore. It just talks about ancient aliens.
MTV doesn't play music?
No, the MTV doesn't play music, the MTV. But leading into this writer's strike thing, one of the things is that some of your more popular series are streaming now. They're not, like the whole, what was it, TGIF or whatever?
Right.
Was that ABC?
Yes.
I don't remember. Family Matters and
right.
That's not really a thing anymore.
No.
And people want to consume their media at the rate that they want to consume it when they want to consume it. And
That's
so it's
right.
changed. And I was talking to Ryan about this, and he said that the last agreement that the writers had didn't take into account streaming, because streaming was in such infancy, they didn't know what it would be like, and it was very much centered around DVD sales.
Right.
There's no more DVD sales. I say no more, but
there's not a lot.
There's not a
right?
lot of money to be made.
Blockbuster's bankrupt for a reason.
Right.
It's gone.
And so they do need to renegotiate and change how that is, and then you add AI into it, and it just changes the whole game.
The whole AI thing is it's mind-blowing as to what it can do, but it's exciting and scary all at the same time. And I don't think legislation is going to be able to keep up with it. It's just going to change too fast. Government is set up to intentionally be slow. I mean, that's the way it's set to go.
It's a feature, not a bug.
Exactly. It is a feature. It is designed to move at a slow pace on purpose. So if you want a fast solution, government is your absolutely worst place to go, that you're going to get it.
That's also a feature, not a bug.
This is true. that is another good point. But when I look at this writer's strike and you say, okay, nobody's really working because you've got this. So what are the actors going to do? Well, by golly, we're going to go on strike too. And I'm thinking, is now the best time for you to go on strike? And then I thought, well, why not? The writers aren't writing anything, so it's not like there's anything for you to do. Although the wrinkle of that is they can't go promote anything that's already done. So there are some movies that are in the can, ready to go, ready to pop out into the theaters, right?
Yeah.
You can't go do junkets.
Well, I saw where they some of the actors walked out of the Oppenheimer premiere once they
did the red carpet and then went home. So they didn't even go in and watch the movie. They didn't do any interviews. They just walked the red carpet and then went home. I'm like, okay, well, why?
Why even walk the red carpet?
I guess because I wanted my picture taken. And then, hey, I'm a Hollywood star. Take my picture, and then I'm going home. Which makes for an early evening for them. Good for them. But I had no idea Fran Drescher was still a thing, number one. Number two, she's the president of SAG-AFTRA. And so you take the most annoying voice that you can find in Hollywood, and you make her your public voice. I mean, The Nanny is not something I was going to line up and watch anyway, but to take Fran Drescher's voice and make her the voice of the Screen Actors Guild and AFTRA, I'm like, wow, okay. So now they're on strike. If you thought there was nothing to watch before, hang on. This is you want to see how bad this can get? Mm-hmm. Hold my beer. We're about to find out. Mm-hmm. This is something that could just be god-awful as we come forward, because the only thing you're going to have is news, sports, and reality TV.
And we're going into an election cycle.
Exactly. If you like reality TV, this is going to be your fall for checking out television. Like, we watch Big Brother. Do you ever watch Big Brother?
Nope.
So it's a stupid show, but it's a CBS show, and they put 15 people into a house, and they vote each other out one by one until the end, right? So I don't know. This could end up to be last man standing, and they're just going to kill each other while they're in the house, because that's the kind of the climate that we're in today, and they need something to get ratings, so they're going to go one more step. But there literally is nothing there.
Yeah.
So when we started looking at what are we going to watch, I wasn't necessarily a huge Tucker Carlson guy, but I kind of just got to watching him because I'm like, well, there's nothing else on. I guess we'll figure out what the news of the day is. So we would tune in and watch Tucker Carlson, and then Tucker Carlson's gone. And then Fox rearranges their whole lineup that they're getting ready to do. And I'm like, now I don't even want to watch news programs anymore.
That might not be bad. Just take a little break.
Well,
take a little break.
My break was sports, and I can't even watch sports because the Cardinals stink.
Oh, that's so frustrating.
Oh, it's one of those things of how many bad choices can I have? So I was joking with my wife last night. We were like, there's nothing on TV. I said, I know this is going to sound crazy. Perhaps we should read a book. So I've been getting into podcasts and stuff like that, which luckily all of the shows on 97.1, you can podcast them.
Yep, you just need the Odyssey app.
Just go to the Odyssey app. You can do that. And a podcast that you're going to want to hear is what we're going to talk about on the other side of this break. Matt Pauley's going to be on with us, and we're going to talk about the state of sports in St. Louis, specifically what are the Cardinals going to do? Because tonight is the second half of the season. It's got to be better than the first half, right? It's got to be. My name's Mike Elam. This is the Annie-Frey Show, and you're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
You've listened to 97.1 FM Talk. You've heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial and Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple as the financial expert on the station for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a weekend right here on 97.1 FM Talk. And you can talk to Doug Voss directly. Here's his number. Call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
St. Louis physician Dr. Abicki created Neovitin 15 years ago to help support his own nutrition when he needed it most. Since then, Neovitin has helped thousands of people support their daily nutrition with sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and Dr. Abicki's proprietary blend. If you're ready to join many St. Louisans in supporting their nutrition, give Neovitin a try. You can find Neovitin at your local Schnucks, Dierbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
When I can't sleep, my mind just races. I think about work, the kids, but I don't think about taking melatonin because I'm afraid I'll feel groggy in the morning.
ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies has an optimal dose of melatonin for no next-day grogginess, so you can fall asleep naturally and wake up feeling refreshed. ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies for better sleep like never before. And try Pure Z Sleep plus next-day energy with melatonin plus extended-release B vitamins.
Do you have heart failure and often hear, Those stomach issues ruined your birthday.
You're too tired to play catch, Grandpa.
Sweetie, you haven't touched your tools since the carpal tunnel syndrome diagnosis.
If these seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, talk to your cardiologist and ask about transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare and underdiagnosed disease that gets worse over time. Learn more at connecttoyourheart.com. That's connecttoyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Diamonds Direct's Midsummer Savings Event is happening right now with an extra 20% savings, an expanded selection, and in-store designer appearances. Take an extraordinary 20% off Diamonds Direct's already unbeatable prices on rings, earrings, bracelets, bands, colored gemstone jewelry, and thousands of engagement ring mountings. Meet the designers who've flown in with all new collections for the summer. The best savings, the best selection, the best value. Don't miss this once-a-year jewelry shopping event. Even open this Sunday. Details, showroom hours, directions, and more at diamondsdirect.com.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan, president of McKelvey Homes. Founded in 1898, McKelvey Homes is celebrating 125 years with our inventory home sale. Get $12,500 off of all our market homes. Move in quick, lock in your interest rate, and get all the popular features and colors selected by design professionals. And for every home sold, McKelvey Homes will donate $1,898 to Dravet Syndrome Foundation. Visit McKelveyHomes.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Has an unsolved mystery finally been solved? I'm John Saucier, Fox News. Suffolk County, New York Police Chief Rodney Harrison giving an update about an alleged serial killer who's now behind bars more than a decade after a string of unsolved murders.
The case is in grand jury. We anticipate an indictment later on this afternoon.
This on Long Island South Shore.
The investigation started in 2010 when a woman's body was found along Gilgo Beach, which is just outside New York City. By spring of 2011, the number of bodies found had climbed to 10 and included 8 women, an unidentified man, and a toddler. The New York Post reports that the man who was arrested is being looked at in connection with the so-called Gilgo 4, women who were found wrapped in burlap within days of each other in 2010, not the other 6. In New York City, Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
From New York to California now. 2 major labor unions in Hollywood going on strike. Fox's Kelly O'Grady's in Los Angeles.
There's a lot of criticism of, okay, well, why do the celebrities need to get paid more? The argument is this strike, folks that you see here, they want to make sure that the actor or the writer that gets 1 role or 2 a year, that they are protected. So we decided to ask moviegoers, well, how do you feel about everything impacting what you might see come this fall?
I think they should get what they deserve for the work they put into it. So I'm not against that.
They're at their wits' end, and I feel like the people that they're striking against definitely have the means to throw them something.
In the immediate term, your major blockbusters this summer, well, the actors aren't going to be able to go out and to promote anything.
Yeah, pretty chaotic scene there as both writers and actors on strike in Hollywood right now. The entertainment industry could stand to lose billions of dollars depending on how long this strike lasts. Wage is a big issue, as is the potential use of artificial intelligence in entertainment. Something to keep an eye on. America is listening to Fox News.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/FREE. ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Let's keep a close eye on the sky and the weather as we go through the afternoon, waiting for some developing showers and thunderstorms around. A couple of them could be strong to severe, but it's not a widespread event. 92 degrees, periods of showers and a couple of thunderstorms this evening. 70 Saturday and Sunday, looks pretty good. Partly sunny skies, maybe a spot thunderstorm each day 90 to 92. This is 97.1 FM Talk, Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Scott, they're here.
Who's here?
Our newest delivery of carpet tile, luxury vinyl plank, luxury vinyl tiles, sheet vinyl, ceramic, hardwood, and laminate.
Of course, and we're fully stocked at both of our locations, 7301 North Lindbergh Boulevard in Hazelwood, Missouri, and 1851 West US Highway 50 in O'Fallon, Illinois.
Open 7 days a week.
Free financing for qualified purchasers. Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy Flooring.
I'm Brian Westbrook with Coalition Life. Over the past decade, Coalition Life has served thousands of women in crisis pregnancies, helping to save the lives of the children that they carry. Help us build a better community while also reducing or completely eliminating your Missouri taxes with a 70% tax credit. A $1,000 donation today to help these women could cost you as little as $141 out of pocket. Learn more at coalitionlife.com, coalitionlife.com. Thank you.
Attention taxpayers. If you or your business owe the IRS back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, the IRS has green-lighted billions of dollars in tax relief to those facing financial hardship through its tax relief initiatives. If you have a delinquent tax problem and possibly facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or already in a payment plan, you may now qualify for significant relief. Qualifying and enrolling in this program could stop all collections, settle your tax problem, and may even reduce what you owe by up to 99%. Call the hotline at Tax Help USA to see if you qualify and receive your free tax assessment by dialing 800-210-1005. If you or your business owe back taxes to the IRS or state, you can now get the help that you need during these hard economic times. Get your free tax assessment to see what you qualify for by dialing 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005. That's 800-210-1005.
Del Walmsley and the Wealth Cycle.
This is the wealth cycle that I've taught for 30 years. Buy one house, 10 houses, an apartment, 2 apartments, 8, 20, 500 units, 1,000 units, 2,000, 5,000 units. And as you keep putting the money and the profits back in, you become one of those rich people. And much quicker than you'd even believe.
Learn Dell's Wealth Cycle at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Use promo code 2023. Save 60%. Code 2023. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have all the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Join Mosby Building Arts every Saturday from 12 to 1 p.m. on 97.1 FM. Rich Orris and guests give insider tips about renovations, design, construction, exteriors, and more. Tune in to Right at Home with Rich on Saturdays or catch the podcast online.
You're listening to award-winning, thought-provoking talk. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Your home for conservative talk.
On the air for over 20 years. This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
It's Mike Elam sitting in for Annie Frey today. Thank you very much for tuning in and being a part. I always am amazed at how fast 3 hours goes. I remember Rush Limbaugh used to say, the fastest 3 hours in radio. And man, when you sit down, you're thinking, I got 3 hours to fill. This is going to take forever. And then you look up and you go, it's 2:08 already. and we've got less than an hour to go. It just seems to fly by. It's funny. I was walking by the TV screen a while ago, and is it Gilgo Beach? Is that how you say that? The Gilgo Beach?
I'm not positive, but that's how I would say it.
So Gilgo Beach murders. So they have a suspect that they've charged, and I'm not even going to talk about that. I was just looking at who is this caricature person who was doing an interview, and it turns out you said this is the victim's attorney?
Yeah, this is the attorney for the families of the victims.
So this dude has a purple fedora on. He's got a ponytail and a brooch on his jacket that doesn't look like it goes with anything else, by the way.
Like a gigantic fly.
It does. It's like a fly or a spider or something. It's just weird. And I'm thinking, that's the guy that you hired? Like, I need an attorney. Well, that dude looks homeless. I'm going to go with him. Like, how do you end up picking that guy? But anyway, it's worth looking up his picture if you get the opportunity to see him. It was just
I snapped a picture of it earlier in the show. I will put that on my social media, on my Twitter page @RangeBrad. I'll post that up there after the show, and you guys can go check that out.
That was just weird. I'm just looking at that guy. I'm like, okay. He obviously doesn't put his picture in his ads when people are going to hire him.
Or maybe he does.
Or maybe he does. I don't know. Are you desperate for an attorney? Here's your guy. You know who's desperate? The St. Louis Cardinals. They are desperate for a second half of the season because the first half of the season was not what we'll call award-winning. But if I'm going to talk about sports, I'm going to go to somebody who knows more than I do, like it's pretty much every topic that we've covered today. I always look for somebody who knows more than I do. And Matt Pauley is that guy. Matt, how are you, sir?
That's a big statement. I don't know if I know more than you do, but I'll do my best here. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
The good news for you is the bar is low. So you really don't have to be that great to be better than me, but you are. So that's why I'm going there anyway. You are the Sports Open Line host over at KMOX, and I've gotten the opportunity to follow you a few times when I guess other people decided they didn't want to do 8 to 10 at KMOX, and I've gotten the opportunity to follow you there sometimes. But I wanted to get your thoughts on what do you think the second half of this Cardinal season is going to look like? Do you think that it's going to get better, or are you of the mindset of Frank Cusimano was saying the other day, he doesn't really think it's in the Cardinals' best interest to have a good second half of the season?
I think from a win-loss perspective, it's going to be better. It almost has to be better. They went 38-52 before the All-Star break. That's really, really bad. That's a .422 winning percentage. They can do better than that, even with a lesser team than they have right now. I think they're going to have a lesser team than they have right now. John Mozeliak, in recent comments on KMOX, on Channel 2 as well, has made it very clear that their focus is starting to shift off of 2023 and onto 2024, meaning they're likely going to be sellers at the deadline. So that is likely going to mean a Jordan Montgomery, if healthy, a Jordan Hicks, a Jack Flaherty, maybe a Tommy Edman or a Brendan Donovan, maybe a Paul DeYoung. Guys like that very possibly could get moved prior to the deadline, and that's going to make this team not as good as it is right now. So I think they'll be a little bit better from a record perspective, but at the same time, I don't think they'll be as good of a team overall. They've just really underachieved in the first half.
Hey, Matt, what do you think, or what kind of player are they looking for? Are they looking for young talent if they would trade some of these guys? Or are they looking for somebody that can come in and make an impact next year?
I think they're looking for guys for next year. If you can trade one of these players that is a pending free agent, likely doesn't have a future with the organization, or maybe even trade 2 or 3 of those guys and get somebody who's got some club control connected to them where you have them for next year and beyond, I think that's what they're going to be looking for. Is there a possibility that they go with some younger players, try to rebuild the farm system a little bit? That could be part of it, but I think from John Mozeliak's perspective, that's going to be very much secondary to finding players who can contribute to a winner in 2024.
What do you think is going to happen in terms of management? Do you think there's going to be any changes there?
I don't. I think next year, John Mozeliak is the president of baseball operations. Mike Gersh is the general manager. Randy Flores is continuing to run the scouting and minor league stuff. Oliver Marmol's continuing to manage the club. I think all those people are going to be in place. The only caveat I would put on there is if at some point in time they feel like maybe it's a bigger project, that 2024, it's not going to be super easy to turn it around and be a good team in 2024. Maybe at that point, Mozeliak and Bill DeWitt have a conversation and say, okay, is this the logical time for somebody else to move into the top baseball decision-making position? And there's other things that Mo could do in the organization, whether that's overseeing the spring training complex, reconstruction, redevelopment, whatever it might be. I don't think that's likely to happen, but I also don't think it's impossible that move happens in the offseason. But don't expect that. My expectation is that basically everybody is still in their exact same positions come next year.
Hey, Matt, I remember at the beginning of the season, everybody was pretty high on this team. Have they identified what the main issues have been with this team or why they haven't met those expectations? Was it oversold or...
It's funny you say that because I can't tell you how often I sit and cringe about things that I said before the season. And I don't run away from things I say. Like, I'm wrong a lot. I understand that I can be wrong, and I'll embrace when I'm wrong. And I thought this team was going to be a team that could win close to 90 games, and I thought they were going to win the Central by better than 10 games. So I was very wrong on that. If anybody wants to go back and find the tapes and do a I got you or I told you so, you don't have to do that. I am well aware of what I said before this season got started.
They looked so good on paper.
They did, and they looked great in spring training. You know what's funny is I'm thinking back to spring training because we see the Marlins a lot. And the Marlins in spring training look like a disaster. And the Cardinals look like a top team in the National League. And it's basically been the exact opposite. But to answer the question, listening to John Mozeliak talk, it feels like they were trying to give opportunities to players in the organization that they believed in. And a lot of those players have not done with those opportunities what they thought they could. Mainly from a pitching standpoint, I think you look at a lot of guys who are given opportunities in the bullpen, but also from a position player standpoint. I think they were somewhat banking on a Tyler O'Neill to be able to get back to the guy that he was a couple years ago. That Dylan Carlson would be able to be the guy that they thought he was going to project into. And, Lars Nootbaar's had a nice season, but he also hasn't looked like the guy that he was in the second half of the year. And then obviously we all know about the pitching deficiencies. So it feels like the problem was they were trying to give opportunities to guys, and they were almost forcing those opportunities and not even making them compete for them, because John Mozeliak has openly admitted that maybe they could have gone and gotten some other players for the very least to kind of push some individuals, and that didn't happen so much, and now we've run into this. So that's a long, meandering answer to your question, and I don't even know if it is an answer, but more than anything, I think it's just massive underachievement from certain players that they were trying to give opportunities to.
One of the things that I am always surprised about is the Cardinals, no matter if they win or if they lose, they always pull. And I was just seeing a story the other day, it may have been yesterday. They were talking about the Cardinals, I believe, are number 2 in the country in attendance, still, as bad as they are. So you're number 2 in attendance. And even though the baseball ratings on TV have slipped, they're still the highest rated baseball viewing audience of any team in Major League Baseball. So as bad as you are on the field, your fans are still tuning in on a regular basis, and they're still coming to the ballpark, which I think leads to your answer earlier when I said, are there going to be changes in management? I mean, normally if you have a team that is this bad on the field, your manager's getting fired. I mean, he is not making the second half of the year if this continues. But in St. Louis, that may not be the case, huh? He may survive the year, you think?
I don't think the problem is Oliver Marmol, and I think the organization agrees with that. The problem is the roster that he's been put together, and he's not perfect. There's things he does that I don't agree with. There's things he says that I don't agree with. Like, I'm not just somebody who's going to be an apologist for Oliver Marmol saying he's God's gift to managing. I'm not saying that, but I think he's a perfectly capable, perfectly fine young manager who is not the reason for these issues. And there are other reasons, and they really start at roster construction and some of the things that happened in the offseason. From an attendance perspective, I never try to tell people how to be fans. But I see all the time, whether it's on social media or people calling into my post-game show, oh, we need to show the Cardinals that we don't approve of this by not going to games anymore. And I understand why people say that. And again, I'm not trying to tell people not to be fans, but as somebody who loves the game of baseball, as somebody who grew up on Cardinals baseball, as somebody who's some of my best memories of growing up was going to Cardinals games with my dad, like I always kind of get bummed out when people are talking about showing the organization by not going to games. Well, if you're not going to games, you're missing out on a really, really good environment and a special time. So I don't know how fans can go about telling the organization that they're unhappy with some of the decisions and the product and all that sort of thing. But I've always felt like the boycott of not going to games, all you're doing is hurting yourself because of what the experience is.
I want to ask you a question. It's a little more broad, and it's not as baseball sportscastery, I guess, of a question. But where do you think baseball is in general? Like if you pull back a little bit, and St. Louis, I think, is just an enigma. We used to be a host family for the River City Rascals, and I had a kid who stayed in my basement for 6 summers. That's not true. His stuff stayed in my basement for 6 summers. The kid was on the road all the time, right? Because they're always somewhere. And one of those kids, Joe Thatcher, actually made it to the professional leagues. He was a left-handed relief pitcher. And we went out to see him in San Diego one time. And the Padres were actually having a good season. They were number 2 in the West. And they had a real chance to win the West. And they were on a great path upward. And it looked like they were going to be good. And we went to a day game on a Wednesday or Thursday. 17,000 people in the stands. And I said, Joe, you guys are good. Like, where's the fans? He said, Mike, it's not St. Louis. There's other stuff to do in San Diego. And I'm like, okay, we are spoiled in St. Louis when we look at baseball. But where is the state of baseball overall compared to football and the excitement that we have right here of Major League Soccer and looking at all the other things that are going on in the sports world? Where do you think baseball sits these days?
It's an interesting question, and to follow up on the story that you just said, there's been a complete turnaround in San Diego. The Padres are now number 4 in Major League Baseball in attendance. They average better than 40,000 fans per game. Only the Dodgers, Cardinals, and Yankees have better attendance numbers than the Padres.
I didn't realize that.
And it's all because the Padres went and spent gobs and gobs and gobs of money and got people excited about the Padres. So I'm really happy that you asked that question because it's a great illustration of the way things can turn around. If you go create a exciting product, people are going to show up for it. And we're seeing that in San Diego, where you're right, just a few years ago, they didn't draw that well, and now they're averaging more than 40,000 fans per game. Baseball's in a really weird spot right now. I always say that if we sat here and said that Mike Trout is the best player in baseball, and maybe it's Shohei Ohtani, I don't know, but I always just use Mike Trout as a good description. If I took Mike Trout right now and I went to West County Center, or I went to the Soulard Farmers Market, or I went to some area where there's a lot of people at, and I was just walking with him, I'm not sure if anybody would stop and recognize who he is. So that's a baseball problem. Baseball is not marketing their stars. In San Diego, the Padres as a team marketed their stars, and their attendance grew to over 40,000 per game. But as a whole, baseball does a horrendous job of marketing its stars. You look at the numbers this year, attendance is way up, TV ratings are way up, and this isn't just from the last couple of years where things were still being impacted by COVID. You compare where baseball is at right now to even pre-COVID, and the numbers when it comes to attendance and it comes to television ratings, they are moving in an upward direction. And I do think that's a direct result of the rules changes, because we have seen the game get a little bit more, moving along a little bit more at a swift pace. There's a lot of kind of tentacles to this. Marketing stars, the game being entertaining, being able to get all demographics involved in the game. We are at kind of a crossroads right now, and I think that's something that Rob Manfred's focused on. And I'm not a big Rob Manfred fan, but I do think he understands some of the issues that's in front of baseball here at the moment, and he's trying to deal with them. So baseball is a great game. It has turned into a regional game. It has turned into a game where, from a TV rating standpoint, nationally, you're going to get ratings in the postseason. It's really hard to get much when it comes to the regular season, and they're just trying to move forward with that. all the while they've got TV disputes and regional sports networks and all kinds of things, and teams that maybe need to move markets. I mean, there's a lot going on, and from a business of the game standpoint right now.
You know, I will tell you, I love the Cardinals. I always have. My first radio job was working at KTHS in Berryville, Arkansas, board hopping Cardinal baseball games that came out of KMOX. So I've always been a part of that. My dad, I remember, used to go into the bedroom and lay down on his bed and turn on the little radio that was over his bed and listen to Jack Buck. It was Jack Buck and Mike Shannon by the time I was around. Harry was gone. I'm not that old, Brad. I don't care what you say. But I remember my dad doing that. So you and I have similar of baseball. Me and my father are just cemented in my memory, right? It was part of that. I hate to see kind of what's going on this year because I'm 57. I don't ever remember the Cardinals being this bad. I don't know if they've ever been this bad in my lifetime, but I don't remember it. But I sure hope that they turn some things around. But it's just a crazy time to watch what's changed in sports, where sports is. I think it's kind of crazy of the Cardinals and Cubs go to London and play a baseball game in London. I don't think that London's ever going to care that, baseball shows up there. They're cricket people, and I use crickets to fish.
Let me say this, though, because my dad says the exact same thing to me. He was like, why in the world are they doing this? Why are they going to London? And my answer to that is if they turn one 12-year-old kid into a baseball fan, to me, it was worth it. I am all about growing the game. And I literally mean if there's one kid that got impacted so much by those games in London that they became a baseball fan, growing the game of baseball can be a very grassroots sort of thing. Baseball's built that way with the minor league system and everything. So I was in favor of the London trip just because even no matter how minimal the impact might be, there was going to be some sort of positive impact for baseball.
For me, I like the idea of the London trip. I just didn't want whatever brand of Cardinals baseball we've been seeing this year being what they get to see in London.
Fair enough.
Of the first time that you're going to go there, that's what you're going to see. Hey, what's going on this weekend in sports that you're excited about?
I am just curious to see what's going to happen with the Cardinals coming out of the break. They took a series right before the All-Star break. They have a not so great team that they're going to be matched up against over the course of the weekend. Is it going to look different in the second half? I think that's kind of the big question for the weekend.
Well, it's Matt Pauley. We appreciate you spending some time with us. We will hear you on Sports Open Line, and, of course, we'll hear you on the Cardinals Radio Network. But we appreciate you spending some time with us. You're one of the few people that's working on a Friday, so God love you.
Well, I just came off 4 days of vacation, so I'll take it.
It's about time you got back to work, Pauley. We were just talking about that.
Very good.
All right, man. Have a great weekend.
All right. Talk to you later.
I'm always curious to hear from sports guys as to what do they think, because they're in the middle of all this, right? It's like talking with Luanne Cundiff about where is the Fed and what's going on with banking. The people who are just in the middle of this every day and not on the perimeter, like someone like me, it's like, what can we really expect? I'm glad that no one's going to lose their job, but like he said, I don't think it's Ollie Marmol's fault that the players aren't playing, and I'm like, when is that ever factored into the manager getting fired?
I don't know to what extent a manager can affect the game if the players just aren't good enough.
But they get fired anyway. That's just the way it works. I mean, if your team isn't winning, the manager is probably not the big factor as to why the team is winning all the time, and they're probably not the big factor as to why the team is losing all the time. But if a team is winning, you get all the praise. If a team is losing, you get blamed for all of it.
Yeah.
And you get shot just like everybody else. I mean, that's kind of how it goes. But
yeah, your job is to manage a winning team.
That's right. If you lose, we got to show somebody. Somebody's got to pay the price, right? And if you're the guy in charge, you're the guy who's got to pay the price. I am kind of amazed at how many people are looking for John Mozeliak. They've been looking for Mosehead for a while, and I don't really get it. But hey, it is what it is. You know what I do want to know? I want to know what kind of ice cream you like. I know you're thinking, what's the burning question on Mike Elam's mind right now? It's the YouTube live chat poll, so let us know. It's National Ice Cream Day, and we want to know what your flavor is. Is it vanilla, chocolate, cookie dough, or something other? And if it's other, tell us what your other. Some of you like some really weird ice cream. I'm just going to put that out there. But God love you. It's your ice cream. It's America. You can eat whatever kind of ice cream you darn well want to eat. So get your poll in, and let's find out what that looks like. It's St. Louis's home for conservative talk and ice cream. I'm just throwing that out there. It's Mike Elam in for Annie Frey on 97.1 FM Talk.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Follow Annie on Twitter @AnnieFryShow.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for Ophthalmology Associates. My eye health is super important to me for a variety of reasons. About 30 years ago, I had an eye disease, and I almost had a retinal detachment, had surgery, everything has been okay, but regular eye care has become important for me and has been for decades, and I only trust the best. And that's Doctors Greg Birdie and Ranjan Malhotra at Ophthalmology Associates. They're here in St. Louis to take care of all of your vision needs. Maybe you have dry eye or your eyes itchy and scratchy. It might be more than just allergies. And Ophthalmology Associates is a leader in dry eye diagnosis and treatment. Let's talk LASIK. With modern LASIK procedures, more people can benefit, and LASIK can reduce or eliminate your need for contacts and glasses. Even if there's nothing going on in particular, annual eye health exams can prevent many kinds of eye and health problems, and they're typically covered by insurance. If you want excellent eye care, trust Ophthalmology Associates. It's a great office experience and staff. They're always on the leading edge of the latest technology. 12990 Manchester Road, a half mile west of 270, 314-966-5000. Online at youridoc.com. That's youridoc.com.
This Little Light is a new podcast hosted by Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Join him as he explores falling in love with music, music education, and the creative process while interviewing the biggest names in music, like Rick Rubin.
I like things that are stripped down. I've always liked things that are stripped down. Then I can get to the point where I like something that's stripped down, and what's it like with an orchestra.
This Little Light is a presentation of Cadence 13. Subscribe and download it now on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Updating your home with James Hardie Siding has never been more popular. With all the options available, you need a partner to ensure you maximize your investment. Siding Express is ready to refresh the appearance of your home or totally transform the look by installing Hardie Shake, Board and Batten, lap siding, or a stone accent to make it your dream home again. Siding Express is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor. They also carry Anderson and Marvin windows and doors. Need ideas? Go to sidingexpress.com and schedule a free, no-obligation consultation today. sidingexpress.com.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type.
Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code OIL to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code OIL for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code OIL for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Summer's just getting started. Still need your air conditioner checked? Schedule your HVAC system check for only $54. This is a limited time offer. For details, visit aircomfortservice.com.
The features you always dreamed of are here. We're talking about rewinding the radio. Listen on the Odyssey app and rewind whenever you'd like. Or catch up on entire shows within 24 hours of air. This is the Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Now let this play out a little bit. Is this Rapper's Delight?
You know it is.
Hey! This is a little throwback, so we could do this. Now, did Drew pick this one?
This one was me.
Okay.
There's 14 minutes of this. We could just make this the segment.
So it's been forever, but back when I was in high school. So I think this song came out, was it 81? Does that sound right?
I couldn't tell you.
81, 82, something like that. Maybe even before, because I remember being at a track meet and we were all talking about this song, right? So you got all these young hicks from Northwest Arkansas who were listening to this, right? And we were all like singing along and just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I'm like, okay, culture is changing. But I used to love this song. But I used to know a lot of it. But I've slept since then, and I'm 57 now, and things are different. It was cool. During the break, I walked down the hallway and saw Mark Reardon and Jane Duker. So they're getting ready for the big Reardon Roundtable that's happening. Tim Fitch is coming in today, who used to be on St. Louis County Council.
Oh, yeah.
So he's going to play Republican today with Reardon, with Jane, and a Democrat to be named later. I don't know who the other person is. I heard the promo earlier, but I wasn't paying that close of attention. So stopped by and saw them, and we were joking about the fact that my wife is going to Post Malone, and Jane says, is she getting face tattoos? I'm like, God, I surely hope not. Don't put that out there in the ether, right? I don't want to see that happen. But hopefully you've got a big weekend plan. I didn't know until Matt Pauley said that the San Diego Padres, who I've completely ignored, are the number 4 in terms of attendance in baseball.
Wow.
I did not expect that to happen. But
they went out and they spent a bunch of money on some really big name and exciting players. And so that's,
So when you spend money and you get big players and you start winning, people show up at the ballpark.
Well, the winning thing, though, has been an issue.
Well,
they've underperformed as well.
I did think it was interesting, though, when he was talking about the fact of marketing, right? So St. Louis people love their sports fans. And they generally don't harass them. They love them a lot. And that's why you have a lot of people who are old Big Red Cardinal players back in football back in the day. They still make St. Louis their home, even though, the team moved to Arizona, and some of them were on the team when it moved. But when they quit playing, they came back to St. Louis, and everybody loved them. Dan Deerdorf, Jim Hart, they had the steakhouse together, People have just loved their sports fans here. And I bet if you put a lot of the baseball guys walking down the street, like he used the Mike Trout example, St. Louis fans would know who they are.
Oh, yeah.
But they probably wouldn't bother them.
This is true, too.
They would take their picture from across the street, and they may go, hey Jim, hey Tom, how are you? They would do that.
They're more apt to bother somebody that looks like the baseball player than the baseball player themselves.
This is very true.
I have a friend that they saw somebody, they said, that comedian, or that person looks like Tim Hawkins. I don't know if you know who Tim Hawkins is.
I know who Tim Hawkins is.
And so she posted on her social media, that awkward moment when you go up to tell somebody they look like Tim Hawkins, and it's Tim Hawkins.
It's Tim Hawkins. So if you don't know who Tim Hawkins is, you need to Google Tim Hawkins. Yeah, just go to YouTube and look up Tim Hawkins' video.
But not until we're done here.
Stick
with us to the end of the show.
Wait until Reardon's done. You can do it over the weekend, right? Because you're really going to want...
There's a lot of material.
There's a lot of Tim Hawkins. And if you're a Chick-fil-A fan, there's a whole song that you're going to love. So years ago, not what I was going to talk about, but because you said that and my ADD kicked in. So... we have some friends who attend Morning Star Church out in Darden Prairie, and Tim Hawkins came in and played a Valentine's Day dinner that they did there. And I was like, who's Tim Hawkins? Right? I've never heard of this guy. So we go see him, and I found out he was a local comedian. And I'm thinking, oh, good. a local comedian. This will be awesome. And he starts off by saying, yeah, I live right down the street here in Lake St. Wentzville. He's in that area right in between. And he was hilarious.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm like, I got to figure out more about this guy. And he just kind of went from there. And he keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And hilariously funny, all clean.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to
sure.
worry about your kids hearing anything that he's doing. You can listen in a crowd, and it's okay.
Yeah.
In today's world, even he won't be offensive. So you gotta love that. So check out Tim Hawkins if you haven't. He is a very funny guy, and he still plays a lot of shows around the area.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. Lake St. Wentzville. Ever since he said that, I've held on to that. Hey, I was telling Brad that I saw these stories earlier. It's from a place called the Liberal Patriot. And you can guess what this is all about, right? So they had a story that said the Democrat Party left versus the center. And they polled their 20,000 subscribers, and they threw some topics out. And they said, hey, we're going to give you some choices and let us know what you think about that. So the first one that they threw out was immigration. And they wanted to find out, what did you think about immigration? And they gave them three choices. People around the world, number one, people around the world have the right to claim asylum, and America should welcome more immigrants into the country. Number two, America needs to secure its borders and create more legal and managed immigration paths to bring in skilled professionals and workers to help our economy grow. Or number three, America needs to close its borders to outsiders and reduce all levels of immigration. This is the Liberal Patriot.
Okay.
What do you think they picked? 1, 2, or 3?
I'm going to say 2.
2 was the overwhelming favorite. 59%, less than 24% actually picked the first answer, which is the Democrat position. Mm-hmm. And I was surprised they actually had 17% who said close the borders to outsiders and reduce all levels. I didn't expect that to happen. So question number 2 was climate and energy. And they were asking them, number 1, we need a rapid green transition to end the use of fossil fuels and replace them with fully renewable energy sources. Number 2, we need an all-of-the-above strategy that provides abundant and cheap energy from multiple sources, including oil and gas, to renewables, to advanced nuclear power. Or number 3, we need to stop the push to replace domestic oil and gas production with unproven green energy products that raise the cost and undercut jobs.
So I'm going to go with number 2 again.
So number 2 was the number 1 answer. 58% picked that. What's amazing is they only had 18% who said we need rapid green transition. 18%. And this is liberal Democrats who are picking this.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at that, it's not that people don't want to save the environment or protect the environment or whatever. It's just that we also realize that you've got to do this in a smart way, that you don't cause a bunch of damage, not just to the livelihoods of people, but to the lives of people. We saw in Texas whenever their energy grid failed in that winter storm,
right?
That puts people's lives at risk. And if the technology that we want to switch to save the environment isn't up to the task, you're literally going to have people die because your energy grid can't support the energy needs.
I shake my head numerous times when I hear the hardcore liberals talk, and I'm like, you are a complete moron. Just because your math doesn't work. And the thing that I point to more than anything is California's energy policy, right? So California is struggling to provide the energy to their citizens now, based on how everything is now. But Gavin Newsom and all of their liberal policies there want to push everybody off of fossil fuels and onto electric. Your grid can't do what you need it to now. And your response to that is, I want to put a larger strain on my energy grid, and I want everybody to drive electric cars. Well, you better live close to your work, because you're going to be bike riding while your car, which couldn't charge because you had rolling blackouts all night long, so you can't get your car to actually make it anywhere. But this is the policy that they want to put in place. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You understand that doesn't make sense, right? You can't produce the energy that you need to hit the goals that you have now. And your response is, yes, I know, but I want to make it even worse.
Right. And then, the other side of that is, too, you have to realize that even though the technology isn't there yet,
right?
That's not saying that the technology won't get there.
Yeah.
You've got to give it time to mature and get the bugs worked out and new innovations to come along and all of that other stuff. But you can't just, it's like monkey bars. You can't
monkey bars?
Yeah. Remember them playground?
I do.
You grab one, you don't let go until you got a hold of the other one.
This is true.
You know?
Otherwise you break your arm.
Yeah. You
know?
fall and get hurt. So like that's, I don't know. This is my thing. Is there more on this or these policies?
The last one that they did was actually on transgender.
Okay.
And the transgender one that they asked, let's see. The first one was, states should protect all transgender youth by providing access to puberty blockers and transition surgeries if desired, and allow them to participate fully in all activities and sports as the gender of their choice. That was option number one. Really long option, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, states should protect the rights of transgender adults to live as they want, but implement stronger regulations on puberty blockers, transition surgeries, and sports participation for transgender minors. Number three, states should ban all transgender treatments for minors and stop discussion of gender ideology in all public schools. What do you think they picked?
Well, this one, I think they went with number 3.
They went with number 3 by 47%.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, look, there's a lot of people in this country that are going to say live and let live. I don't want to get into what happens in your bedroom. I really don't want to get into what happens in your bedroom. But when you start forcing things on kids who aren't prepared to make those kind of life decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your kid doesn't even know what they want to be when they grow up. I'm 57. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up, right? I have 4 jobs right now, so I'm still trying to figure it out. I haven't fully committed to anything yet, evidently. But you can't allow a kid to make that kind of decision. You just can't. And the people in California who read The Liberal Patriot said in big numbers, we agree with you. Like, you need to wait until you're an adult before you make those kind of decisions.
You know, when you look, that topic for sure is a hot button issue. And I think that's where there's a big pushback happening within the culture war, is because of the policy has been option 1 and the what the people want has been option 3 when it comes to transgender issues. And there's a huge pushback, especially like leave the kids alone.
Right.
But when I listen to that article as a whole, what that tells me is as a country, we are not as divided as we seem in the media or on Twitter or on Facebook.
Right.
It's important to remember that there is a lot of common ground amongst people. The question is, why are we so divided? What is happening that's splitting us up? Because I could work with somebody with that immigration policy.
Sure.
We could come together with somebody and we could, you're not going to get everything that you want, but that second option immigration policy, I think you could find something that would secure the border, make the country more safe, provide a better path to immigrate for people who want to immigrate here. I could get behind something along those lines. I think we could have that conversation. We could come together. We could come up with a solution, maybe see if something would work. Same thing with the green energy thing.
Right.
We could come together and work on something like that.
I have a 15 kilowatt solar array on my house. I have 2 energy bills a year, January and February. The rest of the time, Ameren sends me a notice that says you owe me $0 this month.
That's good.
Right? So I'm all about all of the above.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want all of the above. Don't be an idiot about all of the above. And if you're not there yet, don't get there yet.
Yeah.
But I think the country is a hardcore answer number 3 on transgender.
Oh,
though.
for sure.
And I think that's kind of where we sit.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you look at that and you say, well, man, the country sure feels divided. It feels like we're at each other's throats and all this other stuff. But it's because most of the media out there, be it social or mainstream or otherwise, they are caricaturizing the other side.
By all means.
Yes, and this happens from the left painting the right as a certain way and the right painting the left as a certain way. And we're not a monolith like that. You can't say, well, if they're not this, then they're that. That's not true. But it has worked in the sense that they have split people up. They've really tribalized people. And now when you go to vote, you're kind of stuck with somebody who is like, I want this guy that's way over here, or this guy that's way over here, or this girl that's way over here. And you don't get the full options, and you don't really see that really, as Americans, we're not as divided as everything around us might make us seem, because then you see articles like this where it's like, well, people on the left want reasonable things, not crazy left-wing fringe things. And I bet you if you did something similar on the right, you'd find out that people on the right don't necessarily want super right-wing fringe things. They want right-of-center things.
I bet you're going to find that. What I want to find out is, where did we end up on this live chat poll? So you've got a last opportunity to get in honor of National Ice Cream Day. We want you to tell us what's your favorite ice cream. Is it vanilla, chocolate, cookie dough, or other? And if it's other, tell us what your other is. Some of you are very adventurous on your other. God love you. It's America. Eat whatever kind of ice cream you want. We'll find out what that is on the other side of the break. My name is Mike Elam, sitting in for Annie Frey with Rapper's Delight on St. Louis's home of conservative talk, 97.1 FM Talk.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
You have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-777-1979. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-777-1979. That's 800-777-1979. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-777-1979. 800-777-1979.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-3333. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, job relocation houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-3333. That's 314-782-3333.
Man, I remember going back years and years and years. In the studio right now, there's an intern, and we're talking about he doesn't have any need for air conditioning, but he's not responsible for the heating and cooling equipment in his house. And it just reminded me, I don't know why, when I was his age, maybe a little bit younger, I was always told by my father that we don't need air conditioning. What did the cowboys do? How did they make it? There was no such thing as air conditioning, and they were riding on a horse through a desert. And I went, wow, I guess I don't need air conditioning. And then I went, you know what? The cowboys died when they were 21 years old. Do you think maybe they died by heat exhaustion? If your air conditioner is broke, we're going to try to get to you the best we can. Call me, Bart Inman. Remember, that's Bart with a B, Inman with an I, the number, Missouri and Illinois. One easy number, 314-293-2600, or Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
I'm Jim Onder. When you're injured and in your darkest hour, Onder Law is not only on your side, we're by your side.
Onder Law Personal Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Summertime is a great time to add a new pet to your family. Mark Cox here from my friends at Petland in Lake St. Louis and Fenton. 2 stores now to make it easier for you. They've got all the supplies you need, and they've got all the animals that you might want to add to your family. If you're looking for puppies, they've got a wall of puppies online at petlandstl.com. You find the dog you're interested in, make an appointment, go visit with a pet counselor. They make it easy for you, all in one spot. Petlandstl.com.
Hey, Sunday is National Ice Cream Day, and in honor of that, we want to know what your favorite flavor of ice cream is. Is it vanilla, chocolate, cookie dough, or other? Jump on the Annie-Fry live stream and vote in our poll and tell us which one it is. The time is 2:52. This update is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Brian Kilmeade with us.
The thing that the Bidens have the problem with is that they deny everything. Nothing ever sticks to them. They never seem to get answers into all the suspicious activity.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis is home for conservative talk.
Get ready to go crazy right here.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
So we're running out of time quickly, and Mark Reardon was nice enough to stick his head in the studio. How are you? Welcome back, by the way.
I felt so badly for you because I turned the corner. I'm like, no one's in the studio. Sorry, Brad. I mean, Brad's in the studio, but nobody else is in the studio.
I'm important.
You are important.
But in fairness, Brad, you would know this. Like, usually when I come in here to do my show, this place is,
it's full of people, especially on a Friday.
On a Friday, right? Exactly.
Yeah. Normally on Friday is a huge turnover because you've got Annie and Brad and Wiggins and Hannah all leaving, and then the round table's coming in with that crew. So you've got Tim Fitch on today. Obviously, Jane's here.
We got that witch, Jane Duker, right? Can't say her real name.
I saw the broom fly in earlier. I should have known that she was here. She's going to be part of Witches in Cottleville, which is coming up later on this year. It'll be a lot of fun.
I love that. Former Chief of Police and County Councilman Tim Fitch. Did you mention him?
I did.
Former State Senator Jeff Smith is the other.
Oh, Jeff Smith.
Panelist. Yeah.
Wow, great roundtable today.
A lot of stuff to talk about, obviously. Never a dull moment, Mike. So, yeah, thank you for filling in for me on Monday while I shanked some golf balls out there at Old Hickory.
I had a wonderful time. I got the chance to talk to Mike Kehoe. So I have covered Mike Kehoe and Jay Ashcroft this week on 97.1. So this is my governor week. This has been my radio week. I did your show Monday. I did Glover's show on Tuesday. I did what's the midday show on KMOX that I just blanked on that.
Amy and Chris.
Yeah. Thank you. So I was on with them Wednesday, and then Annie today. So and my wife's going to Post Malone tonight. So I've been everywhere.
I'm not. I was saying this earlier. I've tried. I like a lot of music, and I've tried on Post Malone because I know people love him, and the new song that's out I think is okay. But and I've even gotten some face tattoos in his honor, and it still hasn't brought me around. Really,
my wife's a big fan. My daughter's a huge fan. I'm not. Hey, where are you on ice cream? Are you chocolate, vanilla, cookie dough, or something else?
That's an interesting question right now because 2 weeks ago today, inspired by Sue and Fred, and I kind of chronicled this on the show, I did something really dumb. I stopped eating sugar and ice cream, so I haven't had any in 2 weeks. So my answer on that right now, and I'm trying to do this until next Friday. I don't know if I can do it. Everything, basically everything. I do like a good cookie dough now and again.
Oh,
I'm
man,
going to say
cookie
that's
dough's
pretty good.
So where did we end up? What's our big winner?
Looking at that right now, the poll as it sits is vanilla is 28%, chocolate is at 29, 14% on cookie dough, and then other is at 29. So we've got 29 and 29.
Others
but
kind of
it's bigger.
Yeah, right.
But that to me tells me that chocolate is probably the most popular ice cream flavor.
I think that's probably right. By the way, I'd say anything but the woke Ben and Jerry's. There you go.
Whatever flavor it is, it's not a Ben and Jerry's flavor. Hey, that's Mark Reardon hanging out with us today. The round table is coming up next. Thank you very much for letting me hang out with you for a little bit on this Friday. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. I'm actually going to have to mow my grass this weekend. Geesh, I'm not looking forward to that. Anyway, Mike Elam sitting in for Annie Frey. Have a great weekend, and thanks for listening to 97.1 FM Talk. Reardon's up next.
Got in my front teeth, and I got bad tattoos you won't believe. So kick out the jams, kick up the soul, pour another glass of that rock and roll, turn up the band, find the hole, gonna lose control tonight. What do you want from me? I'm not a Mary.
This is Owen Goldstein with All Surface Flooring, here to announce our anniversary sale starting July 17th through July 22nd. That week only, we will be offering 20% off our entire store, including Mohawk Smart Strand Carpet and the incredibly durable Mohawk Ultra Wood. On Saturday, July 22nd, come join us for our parking lot extravaganza. Help us celebrate All Surface Flooring with food, drinks, prizes, and our largest sale in store history. You won't